As you walk through the valley of the shadow of hell, you will realize that there is something ahead. Something that lurks behind the dark veil. A veil that is beyond our own comprehension. Beyond the void.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void
Horror Podcast.
That's right, we're back for episode 125, and today we're going to be finishing off the Howling franchise.
Thank Satan.
Thank Cthulhu.
I'm fucking done
Cthulhu.
with this shit.
I should say Cthulhu.
Thanks, Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, it's been a while, guys. We have, I'll be honest, a little bit have been
I was really
worried about this day.
I was really hoping you were going to finish this without me.
No way, dude.
Part of when I was gone, I was like, fuck, man, I really hope they finish up this terrible-ass franchise without me. Because that would be the best gift of all. And then I come back, and he gets me back. He lures me in with, we're going to do the top 2018 movies. And I'm like, fuck yeah. And then after we film or record, he's like, oh, and for next week, we're going to do the Howling 7 and 8. And I was like, I fucking hate you.
Well, you've seen them all, because I made you watch them that one time when we came back to do, because you were away for a week.
Yeah.
And then I think I had Brad do, from In the Mic of Madness, like do the episode with me. And yeah, I was like, I made you watch those two movies. So you had to watch 4 movies that week.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, because part of the reason why, guys, is that I wanted her to do it with us because she's seeing the lion's share of all of them. And
I did it from the beginning.
And the big thing for us is the reveal at the end of like which order these are good in, from best to worst, or from average to terrible. But yeah, we'll have that at the end of the episode, so you're probably going to want to stick around for that. How about you? How have you been doing this week?
I've been good.
Yeah? You feeling better? More mobile?
Sort of, yeah. Yeah, more mobile, I can say that.
Well, that's good.
Starting to finally feel almost normal-ish, which is great, so.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I was...
It's still meh.
Fuck, man. I fucking missed the goddamn premiere last week, which I was so pissed. I was so bummed. For those of you who haven't seen Dry Blood yet, we interviewed the writer and the Renaissance man on the film. It's this passion project called Dry Blood, and Clint Carney, I was supposed to meet up with him here in Phoenix.
I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I would have screamed.
Fuck, man. I was so fucking bummed out, dude. Like, I felt really bad. So, like, not only did I feel bad for not going, but I was sick on top of it.
Yeah.
So it was like, and I was having like this fever. So it's like my mind was like racy and all over the fucking place. So it was I was just fucking miserable that night. I'm glad I didn't go, because I just would not have been.
I feel like if you got Clint Carney sick, you would have been pretty upset.
Well, I miss my fucking goddamn. I take allergy meds, guys, and I take it like every day because I have really bad allergies. Like, I get itchy if I don't take my meds. Mm-hmm. So
like a dog.
Yeah. Well, like my dog in particular, because he's got the same fucking problem.
Exactly like your dog.
Yeah. The dog toy doesn't fall far from the tree.
Sure doesn't.
But anyway.
Squeak, motherfucker.
So yeah, that was like my big thing next week. I'm looking forward to tomorrow watching Velvet Buzzsaw.
Oh, did that come out tomorrow officially?
Tomorrow. Christina's brother and I, well, Christina, her brother, and myself are going to be watching it.
It's on Netflix, right?
Yeah. I think it might come out tonight, actually.
Probably at
midnight, yeah. So.
Which is technically tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. And I'm excited for that, actually.
Yeah, I'm genuinely kind of curious to see, because 2019's kicking off a little bit, and we got like a lot of movies lined up, and I wonder what it's going to be like for this year, if it's going to top 2018, because we're going to have to say that because of how big this past year was. I'm curious to see if 2019 keeps that pace.
We'll see.
We got a new one from Ari Aster coming out, the fucking Midsommar. So I'm kind of curious to see that. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of independent films this year.
When's the fucking Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark supposed to come out?
Oh, that'll probably be at the end of this year or next, the beginning of next.
2020.
Someone said something, by the way. I just want to mention this before we jump into our flesh and potatoes. But someone was like, by the way, in Jason 6, Jason Lives, why was he buried? Who buried him? And I was like, I never thought about that.
That's a fucking great question.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know why he would have been buried with a headstone. Like, at the best, they would have been some unmarked grave in the middle of fucking,
how,
a landfill.
You know how, like fucking weird people, like, fall in love with serial killers and shit when they're, like, in jail? And they marry them? Like, Ted Bundy got married in jail.
Right.
To some fucking crazy person after he's been convicted of serial murder and sentenced to death.
Right.
He gets married in fucking prison to some bitch. Like, maybe that's what happened. Like, there's some kind of chick that, buried him and gave him a headstone. I don't know.
Well, like, we have a lot of people that, like, really, we've had this whole thing with the whole fucking Ted Bundy thing. Like, it's been all over the fucking,
it's spinning so far out of control. I'm like calm down,
like, I've been seeing people on both sides of it. Like, people are going like, ooh, kill me, daddy.
Because that's totally me. So.
That's what I was thinking. My friend was really upset about it. She was like, come on, guys.
I have so many people that I know that are like actually upset about this too. Like, they're like, why are we sexualizing serial fucking predators? And I'm like, I hear you. And I understand where you're coming from.
It's the tone of the trailer that pissed people off.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like this jovial thing, but and I would argue, and many have argued before me, that, he was a very charming individual, and that's what they're trying to convey.
Exactly,
and I'm sure it's going to be dark. It's not like...
It's really good, actually.
And I was...
the movie.
Yeah.
The movie?
Ted with the Zac Efron.
I thought you were talking about the Ted Bundy tapes, like the series.
No. Yeah, I'm talking about the Zac Efron's going to be playing. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, like, people are weird, like, I guess. Like, my friend, a couple of my friends were talking about it, and I was like, it's like natural born killers never existed. Because you want to talk about glorifying fucking serial killing.
Seriously.
Like, that movie was literally artistic serial killing.
Loved them.
Right.
Like, I mean, that's the sexiest Woody Harrelson's ever looked in his entire life to me. I'm just like, oh, kill me, daddy. Like, I'm into it.
Whole world's
like,
coming to an end, Mal.
He's so fucking hot. And he's not, though. Like, that's the thing. He's not attractive. But, like, as a serial murderer, I'm like, yes, please.
Well, he's going to be doing the new Zombieland.
I know. I'm excited.
What is it called? Double
Tap.
Double Tap, yeah.
I love him, though. I think he's so cute. And I'm, like, watching all of, like, the 1998 Will and Grace. And he's on Will and Grace, like, season 4 or whatever. Because he's dating Grace. And I'm like, yes. He's so cute to me.
He'll always be the guy in Cheers.
He's just Mickey.
Was he Woody in Cheers? I don't even remember.
Know.
I saw that when I was like a little kid, so fuck you guys for not knowing.
Like, I honestly though, I just want to like. What upsets me, I think, the most about it is I used to get fucking teased and called a fucking freak for being obsessed with serial killers, and now it's like the cool thing.
Well, it's not now. It is like, and it isn't.
Everybody's just like, oh, I'm so obsessed with serial murderers, and I know all these weird facts and blah, blah, blah. And then everyone thinks they're insightful and interesting. And I'm like, people used to tell me I was a fucking freak.
Necro's actually really obsessed with Manson.
He's
Charles
easy
Manson.
to be obsessed over. Like, I understand that. And like, I was like big time, and I had the encyclopedia of serial killers, like this giant ass fucking book.
See, you're the fucking problem, Brittany.
Well,
no, I'm just kidding.
And you know what? My mom bought it for me.
Yeah.
Like, my mom knew that I was super into
my dad had that encyclopedia
killers.
thing too. There was like all these different volumes
amazing.
From like way back. It was in alphabetical order.
Yes. It's amazing. They have like
those.
Popular killers, non-popular killers, like killers from all over the fucking world.
I used to rank them. I used to put them all over my wall. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I did. I used to like in my little. I was weird. Like, I was a fucking weirdo. Like, I used to like have my favorites and then like
your shrine.
My shrine. Like, it's fine. I was never into Ted Bundy personally because he has a unibrow, so I don't understand that.
You used to find like random cats in the neighborhood, and then I'm just kidding.
I don't know. The serial killer is interesting to me, and I used to know a whole bunch of fucking stupid facts and all the stuff, and like my mom asks me questions, like, because we've been watching the Ted Bundy thing, and she's like, how did he get caught again? How did this happen? How did this happen? Who was this? Blah, blah, like all these fucking in-depth questions, and I'm like rattling off all these answers to her, or I'm like, I don't know. Because I don't know anymore. Like, it's all shit that I used to know. And she's like, you used to know all of this. What happened? I don't know if it's weird.
Yeah.
that my
your
mom is like, You used to know all of these things about serial murderers, Brittany, and now you don't know anything. What's wrong with you?
She goes in the guest room and you see like a shrine with like a pig's blood all over the wall.
She's a Charles Manson. Like,
she's got like fecal matter and it spells out Helter Skelter. And she's like jamming like fucking the Beatles backwards.
Hilarious.
And she's like completely brainwashed by the record playing
like,
backwards.
How adorable and small my mom is. Like, that would be fantastic. But I don't know. I told her, I was like, Mom, I smoke a bunch of pot now. I don't know what's going on in my life. And she's like, no, you don't. I'm like, you're right, I don't. I don't know. I don't have an excuse.
Speaking of brainwashing, we're about to talk about 2 movies that might just turn you mad. But before we do that, I think it might be that time. Horrorshots!
I just yell horror every time. Like I can't. Like I've given up.
It's like we're calling somebody like, "Hey, whore, give us the shots." You know, like we're like calling out to them like some and they come flying in with like drinks in their hand.
Yes, sir. What would you like, sir?
It's like a little fairy, a little horror shot fairy.
What kind of shot would you like?
Poison.
Yes.
All right.
I want mine to be weird.
We're being weird today.
I want mine to come in with like a limp, like fucking
downtrodden,
like
fucking
the,
broken
like
wing,
the plane or whatever. Like.
I don't. You might be.
No, I want mine to look like Igor from Nightmare Before Christmas. That's what I want. He's got big old fucking froggy bug eyes and eats dog treats and has 2 teeth and walks in with a fucking limp like, oh, the plans. And I'd be like, holy shit.
So you're saying you hate midgets?
Yeah. That's not at all what I'm saying. I just had to say yeah because it felt like it was really fitting to your question.
That's fucked up, Brittany. How dare you? But yes, in other non-offensive things, we have a shot based on one of the movies that we did this week, and you guys are really gonna want to stick around for at least one of these. Both of them, if you're a legend. But so this week we watched, the Howling New Moon Rising and Howling Reborn. I figured the only thing that'll make the Howling New Moon Rising better was to make a shot for good old Pappy.
Oh, Pappy.
Pappy.
Oh, that was like one of my dad's best friends growing up. I loved that old man.
His name was Pappy?
I called him Santa. Yeah, but he looked like Santa Claus, so I called him Santa. But his name was Pappy.
Well, you're going to like this name of the shot then, because I'll tell you what's in it first, and then we're going to, well, maybe I should say what it is.
I wish we actually had it.
So in the movie, Howling New Moon Rising, which is part 7, there is a guy named Pappy who runs a bar with his wife, and they sing songs to each other throughout the whole fucking thing, by the way. But he's out back in the middle of this movie cooking chili, and someone drives off and gets dirt in it. And it was like this really ridiculously unnecessary fucking point in the movie, because this movie's totally all over the fucking place. But they get dirt in the chili and he's all mad. And I thought, what better way to celebrate this insanely terrible movie by having a shot named Pappy's Dirt Chili.
Pappy's Dirt Chili.
And what is in a Pappy's Dirt Chili, you might be asking, Brittany, friends, listeners? It is, you're going to put in this is a chilled shot, so you're going to want to put this in a container. You put 1 ounce of Bloody Mary mix, 1 ounce of Fireball, and 1 ounce of the hottest hot sauce that you can find.
Ew.
Whatever you can find or muster, you're going to want, when I mean not the hottest, you want to die, because 1 ounce is a fucking lot.
You don't want to die.
But this is going to be a really spicy shot, but, the Fireball and the Bloody Mary mix should mix it up. You can make about 3 drinks with this, by the way. So it's not like you're drinking 1 ounce of fucking hot sauce. But you take those, you mix them in the shaker with ice. You top it with turbinado sugar, which is basically just raw sugar. It's like the heaviest sugar crystals to simulate dirt. Put a little bit of raw sugar on top after you pour it in the glass. You can even rim the shot if you like.
Yeah, I can.
Just, wet it and then put the sugar on it.
Put your whole mouth around it.
Yeah, I think that might even be better than putting it in the drink. I think so. It's sweet and spicy. Then when you shoot it, you say, I said I wanted some goddamn water. and then drink it anyway.
What is it? There's dirt in your chili.
Yeah, there's dirt in your chili there, Pappy.
Oh, God damn it.
I'm out of here.
He's so cute, too. I loved it.
But, yeah, if you guys would love to take a Pappy's Dirt Chili shot, all you have to do is go to Long Live the Void and check out our hashtag Horrorshots section now. Well, that's it for Horrorshots. All right, guys, pull down your pants, shimmy down those whitey tighties, and get ready for our flesh and potatoes of Howling New Moon Rising and
Howling Reborn.
Right now.
All right, guys, so we're finally here to close out this godforsaken franchise.
Thank fucking God. I hate it so much.
There are very few franchises that I would shake a fist at, and even fewer that I would shoot myself in the face with a loaded shotgun with. And The Howling has been that such franchise.
I can't. I'm so stoked to be done with it, but I was like also so angry that I had to watch it.
Yeah,
watch more of it.
When I wrote something on Twitter about this one, I was like, I misspelled everything when I posted it. I spelled howling with like 2 L's, and then I was like covering it up. I was like, yeah, and I know it's misspelled because I'm shaking with anger. Which is not true, by the way, guys. Spoiler alert.
Here's me a dick.
So the first one, we're going to go in order for part 7, which is Howling New Moon Rising, which came out in 1995. The story is a number of brutal werewolf-like slayings begin occurring in a small California town after the arrival of an unfamiliar motorcyclist, and all of the most boring things happen after that.
Yeah.
The tagline for this movie is somewhere out there, a new terror is breeding.
Is it?
I guess.
I just felt...
It should have been like, somewhere out there, a person watching this is dying.
Somewhere out there, someone has blown their brains out. Yeah. Like, fuck, man. It's like the longest movie ever.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's like only barely an hour and a half.
Oh, it felt like eternity.
It's felt
like if there was a movie in hell that they made you watch,
this is it.
This is probably on the shelf.
It's one of those like recurring.
Yeah, this
movies.
is a high renter down in hell. I swear to God, people. I don't know if they love it or they just go crazy.
Hitler loves to watch it while we shove the pineapple up his ass. Like, it's his favorite.
Heads up on this film too, by the way, guys. It's never been released on DVD, only VHS, and it was very hard to track down for us. But we found it through means of ways that magical BTV style.
Oh, good Lord, I spent 2 fucking hours trying to get it to work today.
Yeah, so
I was like, I can't.
If you could if you guys could take a hint, you can figure it out. But I mean, I don't feel so bad when you can't actually get a copy. Like it's like VHS, and I think those might be going for a lot of money, which God knows why. But this one is directed and written by Clive Turner, who actually wrote and directed Howling 4, the original Nightmare, one of our most favorite movies of all time. And he wrote Howling 5, the Rebirth, which you didn't mind so much as I recall. It was the better of the two.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or, well,
what was that, 4
we watched
5?
5 and 6, and then you had to watch 3 and 4.
That's right.
Yeah, so, but Howling 4 was one that I was like pretty upset about. He's also produced both Lawnmower Man movies as well.
Interesting.
Yes, I did not know that.
Yes.
It's also directed by Roger Knoll, who is actually a big visual effects guy, really. He's done a ton of movies in that department anyway, like The Crow Salvation, Exit Wounds, Elvira's Haunted Hills, The Omen remake, Blood Diamond, Aragon, Night Skies, Species, The Awakening. I'm just thinking of that fucking video, the Hobbits video. Aragon!
Oh my God.
You remember that?
Yeah.
So, I didn't want to get too bad, but yeah. I think it's called Retarded Hobbits is the name of the thing. But they just slow everything down. But anyway.
So great.
He also worked on Night Skies, Species, The Awakening, Dark Moon Rising, Bad Milo, and a lot more. But those are some of the more notable ones.
We watched that Dark Moon Rising, didn't we?
I have never seen it, I don't think. Yeah.
I'm wrong.
It's not part of this franchise
I'm thinking
anyway.
of something else.
But Roger Knoll was actually director of Howling New Moon Rising, but Clive Turner kept telling him what to do, so it kind of became his film.
Yeah.
And Turner's name replaced Knoll on the directing credits.
Funny how that happens.
Plus, he, funny fact, actually starred in this movie as Ted.
Oh, fuck. That makes sense.
Yeah, Ted. He's actually, Clive Turner did anyway, not Roger Knoll.
Does he have an Australian accent?
He has a British accent.
But he plays an Australian?
I don't know. Like, you're thinking of the part 5 where they did that. But yeah, there's John Ramsden, who is the detective. By the way, I'm just going to spoil some of the trivia here for you guys, so this will better explain why. But since Clive Turner has always wrestled people for control of his films, basically having John Hugh direct Howling 4, the original Nightmare in 88, and then reshooting over half the film because Hugh wasn't hired to do the film. He thought he needed to be done. He decided to make his own Howling movie and star in it. And why not have it take place at one of his favorite towns, Pioneer Town, and get all the actual locals to act in it? Good idea, right, guys?
Yeah.
So pretty much everybody in this movie has really never done too much else other than Clive Turner. There are a few that have a couple of things, but I didn't want to go through it because I really don't care. No, there is a lot, but my notes got fucked up, so you're just going to have to deal with it this week, guys. I'm sorry. I'm
sorry.
I'm just going to go through the names, not necessarily what the movies they did this week. So we got John Ramsden, who plays the detective. They just call him the detective or the inspector, actually. They got Ernest Keister, who plays Ernie, Clive Turner, who plays Ted Smith, the motorcyclist from out of town, the British guy, essentially.
Motorcyclist from out of town.
You got John Huff, who plays Father John, who's intense as fuck. Elizabeth Shee, by the way, is in this movie. She plays Mary Lou. She was, of course, in the Howling the Freaks and the Rebirth, so 5 and 6. And also stars Jacqueline Armitage, who plays Jacqueline. She's never been in anything else, and there's plenty of more of that where that came from. So, Brittany, I am dying to know how much pain and suffering you went through while watching this movie. Please tell us your thoughts.
So I was mostly just confused as to what I was watching because I didn't feel like this was a horror movie, for one.
Right.
You know, a lot of points when you're watching it, doesn't even feel like it's a continuation of this franchise at all.
Right.
There's so many moving parts to it, but none of them go anywhere. There's no fucking point to any of it.
Right.
It mostly feels like I'm just watching some fucking like old-timey Western show about a shitty bar, like Cheers or something. Like, I don't know. It's fucking weird. And it feels like it's from the 80s. It doesn't feel like it's 90s at all. It feels super 80s to me.
Or even
like,
earlier.
Yeah, like it just feels like it literally 1980 is what it's like feels like to me when I'm watching it. Like, but like I fucking hate country music. Like I hate country bars. Like everything about it is super irritating to me. So
fucking terrorist.
Yeah, America. But I also was getting confused because I know it's California because they mentioned Barstow like 17 times, and I know that's California.
Right.
But then they also like sing about Texas, and I'm like,
deep in the heart of it, or
yeah, like I'm like, what in the hell is happening here? I'm like, are you in fucking Texas or California? What's going on? And then you've got like an Australian dude with long hair.
I don't think he's Australian.
I don't fucking know what he is.
I think he's British.
It sounds Australian to me.
Yeah, maybe.
But who knows? And I don't understand his purpose in this story. I don't understand the purpose of the fucking father or whatever, like whatever he is.
Right.
And the cop that I didn't know was a cop until midway through the movie. I just thought he was having a weird conversation with some weird old dude, and I didn't understand what was going on. And then these was like ridiculous like these weird flashbacks to like the previous movies. 2 of them.
Yes, they were. Yeah, and there's some trivia on that, by the way.
They're trying to tie it in. And it's like half of the movie is bits and pieces from other movies that they're throwing in here. I don't know. Everything was so disconnected and disjointed, and I didn't understand what I was watching. So I feel like that's the most frustrating thing for me watching this is I didn't understand what was going on or what am I supposed to be getting from this other than it really fucking irritated. And I don't know. I have like one part that I will never forget because I'm a 12-year-old and I think it's hilarious. So there's like one part that's going to stick with me for forever. But and I'm so glad it happened because I laughed for like 20 minutes, like when I didn't need to. But
yeah, it's definitely not with it kind of thing.
No.
Or okay, now I'm curious.
It was a with it and an at it, but it was just so stupid.
Okay.
I don't know. I just honestly like I feel like they did a shitty job of trying to explain what's going on or like the direction that they're trying to go with this movie. I still don't know. Like I'm so confused and I tried, like I actually paid attention. I didn't fall asleep. I'm proud of myself. Because with all the other ones,
I'm proud of you too, Brittany.
all the other ones I've fallen asleep watching at least once.
Some
and
of the
had to
bad
go
ones,
back
yeah.
like and like rewatch it again later, and I'm like, fuck man, this one I stayed completely focused and awake, and I don't know how.
Maybe the way you're balling your fists out of anger.
Probably like I have
You're digging nails into your
I have
hand.
scars. I can't, my hands hurt, like I'm so mad. I'm seriously like, I hated you that entire hour and a half.
Did you find anything redeeming out of it
no.
at all? Okay.
Absolutely not.
All right.
I was literally sitting there fucking cursing you for an hour and a half, like so fucking angry.
Fucking Alex.
Like this fucking movie is like the entire month of January.
I wasn't gonna suffer through this fucking piece of shit.
I know, it's fine, but like it's literally been like it's like this month. Like this month has felt like an entire fucking year has gone by, like, and it's still not over. And that's how this movie felt to me. Like I was like, oh, it's got to be close, man. It's got to be close. And I'd like pause it real quick, and it's all 38 more minutes. And I'm like, fuck me. Like, what is happening? I've been here for 6 days. I don't get it. If I hear another fucking country song, I'm gonna kill someone.
Yeah. Personally, I think we found the contender for, one of the worst in the franchise.
Good fucking Lord.
Which was definitely number 4. It was a tough tie for me a little bit because both of them are tragically bad.
Yeah. 4 was real bad.
I mean, because, like, good Lord, this fucking movie is, like, all over the fucking place. Like I said before, tonally, it's just fucked. Like, I just don't even understand what the point of it is. It's almost like, it's hard to explain, but I'll try my best here. It feels kind of like it's intentionally wanting to be a fun little TV movie from the 70s.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it wanted to be Smokey and the Bandit sort of feel with, like, a tiny backdrop of werewolves and a whodunit theme. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
But it's not like it's done in like the most like non-horror way possible.
Literally.
Like it's being told by a church lady. Like it's her fascination that she had to do like 50 million Hail Marys just for thinking about because it's so not dirty or dark or fucked up.
It's so, yeah, and that makes perfect sense to like put it that way because it's just, it's so weird. It makes no sense.
It's pretty terrible, and the acting is a really hard sit.
It wasn't that bad, to be honest, especially like when like hearing what you were saying about how like most of these people haven't done anything or didn't go on to do anything. It's like their first like time doing anything movie related or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been worse.
Could have been way worse. It did. A lot of it felt, forced, like they're reading off lines or whatever. But at the same time, like I've seen worse acting in like major budget pictures. So
right.
I don't know.
Well, if you got time to waste, guys, I'd say check it out, but only after you've written a thesis on parts 4 and 5, because this movie holds those movies as canon for the whole fucking story. So if you miss those movies, you might as well just say, fuck it. I don't even know what's going on at this point. But they kind of fill you in on that, but it kind of treats it like these movies were like the Bible. These were the best chapters in the Bible, and we're gonna take you on an adventure for part 7 here. But you will be lost if you don't actually watch those movies. So trust me, if you want to go down this hole, do that first. Watch 4, 5, and 7. But it's to me, it was a little perplexing because it sounds more like someone was just unwilling to let go of their bad ideas in this movie. Like, which I simultaneously love and hate Clive Turner for this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I love them for pushing through, but I hate them for making me sit through it.
Right.
If that makes sense.
He totally feels like a fucking stubborn child made a movie.
It is kind of like, but you know what's so weird though, is that in some weird way, because like I guarantee you that they're all nice people.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but they're just delusional. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it's like I feel like they're really nice people. Everybody that was in this movie is like seems like family in a way.
Yeah.
But in the same respect, I hate you.
Yeah. I want to burn your town to the ground.
Yes. I will never, if I drive through Pioneer Town. I'm kidding.
Burning it.
No.
Like,
don't incriminate yourself. But the movie is void of any gore or humor, in my opinion, in the way that it's like...
There's one quality part of humor.
There's funny things in it, and you're like, why? Why, though? I would love to push it in the so bad it's good category.
Oh, God, no, you can't.
But it's so mundane and average that it's not a good horror movie at all.
It's not a horror movie.
So I'm sure you could riff on it pretty good if the right people did it, but unless you just got like out of a funeral and plan on laughing at just about anything because the day sucks, then I really wouldn't watch it. Like, I'd say move on, listen to us break it down in the fucking spoiler section, because, you know, this isn't a shadow of the first film. In fact, I think this movie makes part 2 and 3 seem like masterpieces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just don't understand why parts 4 and 7 are attached to this franchise. Like, it makes no fucking sense to me why anyone would green light this shit. I don't get it.
I don't get how 8's attached to it either.
I mean, other than not liking this movie, some ways it was slightly better than the fourth one. Slightly.
I feel like it was a little bit more tolerable than the fourth one.
Maybe.
I don't know how, because this was... I would rather go to a fucking Catholic church on a Sunday and sit through that shit than fucking watch this movie ever again. It
was super tough for me to pick the shiniest shit log in the septic tank and hold it up, you know, with my bare hands with greasy peanutty log in my hand and say, "This is the best peanutty log in the bunch." You know, yes, I wrote it down.
So like, yeah, it's like you're bringing wet, and they're just like, I need to write this down.
But I would probably have to say that this movie is probably worse thus far out of the entire franchise. It barely has a shred of a werewolf in it, except for it showing some previous films' werewolf slyly put in there as if to make it feel like it was part of this movie, fresh and new, but they really just borrowed from one of the other movies.
Oh no, this one has like the literal worst
transformation, yeah,
ever I've ever seen in any fucking werewolf
well
movie.
It's in that 90s vein, so they were doing a lot of that morphing shit that they would do, like they kind of did. I think it was in that Stephen King Sleepwalkers movie, which was really bad too. Like, if you guys have seen that, I don't mind that movie. Compared to this, it's fucking amazing. But I'd have to give part 4 the winner in the showdown of who's the better movie of 4 and 7, though. A movie I thought was the worst movie, one of the worst movies ever made, at least in the franchise, at the very least. But I finally found one that beat it in the terrible area. So the only reason I'm actually giving it to part 4, by the way, is because that cool ass melty scene in
that
it.
scene's dope.
Right.
Yeah.
That in itself is worth just owning the movie just for that scene alone.
Yeah.
But
that's the redeeming quality of that movie. Like, right there.
Right. And to be fair, you know, I'm not a huge werewolf movie fan, and it's not like I'm just trying to shit on movies for no reason. Like, I actually take quite pride in the movies that I watch and try to give each of them their fair stance. But while I'm taking notes while watching the movie, anything goes. You know what I mean? I come in at every movie, and I was telling this to Kyle, I think the best way to review a movie is to come in on it like it's an average film. And if it's good, it pushes you one way. If it's bad in certain parts, it pushes you back the other way. You know what I mean? And it's like this toss, and it's like the needle, kind of like when you like do your internet check speeds to see how fast it is. It kind of like bounces a little bit and you figure it out. But I'm baffled right now, and I'm kind of sad that I watched this film.
I want
it's
my
upsetting.
like, hour and a half back.
It's upsetting. I gave the part 4 2 middle fingers up, and this one only gets 1. I'm sorry to those of you who love this film, but may God have mercy on your fucking souls, because it's terrible.
It's fucking terrible.
There is some trivia on this film, by the way, guys.
It's amazing.
And there wasn't a lot. I did do some fucking searching, but I mean, for a movie that you can't even find on VHS barely.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised there's anything. To be honest.
it's. I mean, you could probably find it somewhere. Somebody, I would think most of the copies got burned to save humanity, but I could be wrong. There might be one floating around like some fucking The Ring video, and when you put it on, like
now we have
Pappy calls you up from the dead, and he's like, You got 7 days, motherfucker. Did you put dirt in my chili? Click.
You put dirt in my chili. Prepare to die, bitch. And that's just it. And I'm like, oh my God, why?
So the original idea, and this is what it means it could have been even worse, because they've done this in the franchise, but the original idea by Clive Turner was to make the film entirely out of footage from Howling 4, the original Nightmare, one of the worst movies, and Howling 5, the Rebirth, and Howling 6, the Freaks. The idea was only half used in the final film for some of the flashbacks, as we talked about.
Good Lord.
Can you imagine? Like, who does that? That sounds like the worst salesman, like someone's ripping you off.
Would have been terrible.
I'm glad that they at least tried. A funny little fun fact that I found about this film as well is that TV Guide remarked that the film was a new low for the franchise. Dread Central at the time gave the film a negative review, likening it to Mystery Science Theater 3000 fare. Bloody Disgusting also gave a negative review, stating that the film ranks right up there with Troll 2 as the most hilarious bad movie ever made. I have to disagree. I think it's just the worst movie ever made.
It's not hilarious.
I mean, if it was like my buddy in my neighborhood who grabbed his camera and decided to make a movie. Yeah. But if it's part of a franchise that's supposed to try to attempt to be better than the rest, no.
They didn't even fucking try.
No, I didn't feel like it.
There's no attempt here.
Yeah.
The shittiest, poorest attempt to tie it into this franchise. Like, they wanted to make some weird fucking movie about some weird town of people that sing country songs and line dance and do weird shit that makes no sense.
Well, and there's so many fucking characters,
There's
dude.
too many fucking people, and they all look the same.
I picture when Clive and everybody was writing this or whatever, he was like, "This is it, guys. I'm gonna write you in. I'm gonna write you in." He's like fucking Oprah with the parts in the fucking movie. You're gonna get a role, and you're gonna get a role, and you're gonna get a role. And they're like, "How about some drinks, partner?"
Yeah.
You know, like.
I don't know. Like, I just...
But it is really hard to follow, and that's the thing. It's like nobody pays that close of attention on a movie, especially this movie, of all movies.
You can't.
Like, even films that are in better class of them that try to get too fucking into it, like, they don't get this fucking intricate with all the characters. Like, every person that was on this film was like their family, and they treated him as such, which is I kind of admire him for, so I don't hate them on a personal level, but I just hate the film. I think it's the best way to really kind of explain this atrocity as best as possible is to kind of retell some of the parts in the movie to kind of explain as best we can, because I didn't want to watch this twice.
God, no.
But I did take some pretty extensive notes. But so if you don't want anything spoiled, and trust me, I'm saving you time. No joke.
Let us spoil it for you.
Let us spoil it for you, because it's going to be a hell of a lot better than watching it on your own. The whole movie opens up to a group of guys on the side of a road looking at a mangled up fucking corpse. And apparently they're cops. You know, you see this dried up corpse, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't look like anything a werewolf would do. So I don't really understand what the fuck the point is, right?
Yeah, so you're immediately confused.
It is a little confusing. And then a guy pulls up. Obviously, someone higher up the chain on the police force. And one of the other guys says, "He's dead, Inspector." And the inspector looks at him and he's like, "Very good, Watson." And then walks back to his car and shuts the door. And it's like, bam, credits. Like, that was the stinger to get you involved in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. I don't.
You know how they always like try to like, you know, hang the carrot on the stick in the beginning to kind of lead you through the story? That was not even a carrot.
No, there was no stick. There was no string.
There
was no carrot.
That was Clive Turner's career dead.
Oh
my God. Next scene you see is a British guy pulling up on his bike. They have a lot of this country music, rock music, whatever.
Or Australian. It's yet to be determined.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's British, but...
I swear she asked about, like, Australia in the movie,
You might be right, because they do allude to that later on, because when they tell the story of how it's all connected, they talk about the guy in part 5 who was, in fact, Australian, and apparently that was Clive Turner in the movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
He was the, like, wisecracking guy that was in part 5 in the castle. But anyway, he pulls up on his bike with long hair. He kind of, in a weird way, reminds me of, what's his name from KNB Effects, who worked on The Walking Dead.
Oh my God, Greg Nicotero?
Yeah, he kind of looks like Greg a little. I don't want to like, Greg's probably hotter, just because.
Yeah, no, he's not, well, he's not a bad looking guy.
No, but I'm just saying like.
And I love his long red hair.
To kind of picture.
Like, he's kind of sexy.
Yeah, to make you picture it, you know what I mean? But he plays the lead role essentially. Clive Turner does, the director. And they're, arguing about not having George Jones on the jukebox.
Oh my God, I have never heard the name George Jones used so many fucking times.
I know. It was like his love letter to George Jones.
Holy shit, it really was. It was like, man, this guy really fucking loves George Jones.
Well, I almost wonder if like Clive Turner was like, one of those, British guys that are just really enamored with fucking American like
country
history
music?
and country and shit like that. And so he's like, overdoing it a little bit. But they're arguing about not having George Jones on the jukebox. And the bartender's like, what's the matter? What's it with you and George Jones? We got everything else. And he's like, yeah, but George Jones is good. And he's like, who knows George Jones? And they're all talking about George Jones over and over. And they start saying like some of his lyrics, I guess, from one of his songs. I actually watched some of his videos though, just to see like on YouTube because I was curious. I'm like, is this a real guy? Like It has to be. Anyway, so one of the patrons is like being all sassy about it. And one of the girls, I guess, said something, but it didn't make sense. He's all like, the only thing you know about country music is the first four letters to the lady. I'm like, what? And then as they're arguing, she's like, I can also count to 86 if you want. Insinuating that she was going to kick him out of the fucking
funny,
bar.
Actually, I laughed really hard.
Yeah, I was
she was like,
okay.
I can count too, up to 86. And I was like, oh, damn, Gina.
Then the onslaught of really bad jokes. And I wrote this down word for word, okay?
I figured you did.
Yes.
Or you would have, because I almost did.
I had to because it is a feat in film that I just could not pass. But they get on an onslaught by a rash of insanely bad jokes by the British guy and friends around about different ailments. And he's like, I should be all right, but I might have a little arthritis. He's like, and then the bartender's like, a little further down your leg and you might get pneumonia. And then one of the patrons says, hell, I'd be more worried about smallcocks. And the British guy says, well, I'm already pretty lucky there. I've already had diphtheria.
Diphtheria?
What?
Yeah.
I stood up and went to my gun safe and loaded my gun. Like we already know what kind of fucking shit we're in for. So I was like, fuck it. Yeah. No, I actually don't have a gun safe.
Die now. I'm going to save myself the time.
Dude, that was really bad.
I was like...
It's terrible.
I just sat there in disbelief for like 5 minutes.
Well, it's like if they would have
happening.
If they would have done one joke, like okay, move on to the next thing. But no, they had to put in like 4.
Right, and then they continue on with this weird shit of like they start with the one dude that does not look like he belongs there at all.
Right,
He's
the guy
like
with the glasses, Brock. His name's Brock.
Yeah, fat nerdy dude. Doesn't look like he fucking belongs there. He's sitting there and he's sipping on his shot, which pussy.
Wow.
Taking a little sip of his shot and then takes a sip of his beer.
Hey, man, you got to give him credit.
Takes a little sip and then the other guy comes and sits down next to him and they start the whole sequence over again and they're both doing the same thing at the same time.
Right.
And then a third guy comes up.
That was later on.
This is not that further past, like...
Yeah, because they did that. I wrote that down, too.
Oh, my God. I don't understand what the fuck was going on with that.
They were doing some weird montage thing. That's what it was.
It was like a Cheers moment or something.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was like a wasted fucking 5 minutes that I will never get back in my life, which is so sad.
Well, so then you meet the inspector again, the one that showed up in the beginning of the very first of the movie, and he contacts a priest, Father John, because, the priest should know, I guess, about
apparently they know
whatever crime is happening and why there's a dead body on the side of the road, which is weird.
I'm gonna consult the father.
Yeah, but the Father John guy says it's a werewolf without a doubt, just like right off the bat.
Yeah.
And the inspector kept going, oh, I'm gonna have to sit down for this tale, like I'm gonna put up with this. Like I would have been like, all right, I'm out of here, you crazy fuck. But the inspector's like, well, my day just got a lot worse. We feel you, Inspector. We really do.
Word.
I feel your pain, brother.
Sure did. Poor man. That man aged, like, by scene.
Oh, yeah. It might have taken a while to make it, huh?
Like, every time, like, they come back to him, I swear he's 10 years older.
Yeah, they put him in, like, a hospital bed by the end of the movie.
He's still taking his last breath.
Yeah. They're, like, rolling him around.
The fucking priest is giving him his last rites, like... As he's eating pudding. I'm about to fucking die.
Oh my God, Brittany. He's eating pudding.
Yeah, with no teeth. Like, that's his last meal because he can't chew anything else. Like, he's dying.
I just thought it was funny, like their whole engagement. Then you go back to the bar because the British guy asked for work at the bar. That was the whole point of him showing up.
Can't pay you much.
But we can give you,
give you a little food and a place to sleep or whatever.
That's the best offer I've had today. Or he's like, that's the best offer I've had today. We're trying to be accurate here, okay?
No, sorry.
But then that's where the montage you were talking about.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It includes him cleaning the floor with a sombrero with a dancing line. Like all the people in the place are like
conga line or something.
Doing
line dancing, yeah.
Yeah, it's like they were doing like while they were cleaning and then they find a bug on the floor and they're all stomping on it. Like in this fucking weird fucking moment, I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, super fucking strange.
And that was the scene right after that was the scene where the few guys are drinking at the bar in unison. It starts with Brock, then the fucking Ted guy comes in, the British guy, and then some other guy, and they're all drinking and taking a shot at the same time. And I'm like, is this even necessary?
No.
Like, what is going on?
I'll answer that.
It's not even like, it's totally, that's what I don't understand. This is supposed to be a horror movie. Like, I don't understand. Anyway, the Father John guy shows back up, of course, and he tells of a factual, he calls it a factual story to the inspector, not a supposition, quote unquote, by the way. And he tells that the castle that Satan had taken under his wing, that they tried to burn it down in like Hungary or some shit like that.
Budapest.
Yeah, it was Budapest or something? I don't know.
I swear I feel like they kept saying Budapest.
He even went as far as to say that the communism kicked in and people came to tour the castle, which I'm like, wait, what?
What?
Like, I don't even understand what's happening right now.
Like, what are you saying?
And apparently people got lost in the tunnels because the storm caused the tunnels to collapse. And that's the story they said anyway. But this is like, they're referencing part 5 of the Howling first before part 4. So it's kind of weird. Then Father John lays a little too much on the inspector. So he's like, well, I gotta go digest this for tonight. And he's like, well, where are you going? He's like, I'm going to the bar. It's like, oh, he's a good old boy. Then Ted has to kick out a patron, which happens to be his buddy. They show like an earlier scene or something like that with him hanging out with each other, who, by the way, he slaps on the back of the head all the time. Did you notice that? Like, you fucking idiot. Like, it's this camaraderie thing. Yeah. It's like synthetic camaraderie. But anyway, he kicks out this patron who was drunk sleeping at a table. And when he exits, Ted's like, what the hell are you doing in there, man? He's like, the guy's like, why don't I tell them what you really are? And then you see the like red wolf vision hunting a deer, and it turns to hunger for a human, where this lady who's like got her chest kind of exposed. She looks like Dolly Parton or something, I guess. She like comes out and then it kills the guy that she's next to, I guess, which, you know, they got like red ketchup on this chest, you know, like that kind of treatment. And you see his body get dragged away. But the wolf vision that they did, the werewolf vision, was like so red. I couldn't see. You can't
see anything.
Anything. Yeah. Like it was terrible, which I was like trying to make out what was happening.
Yeah, I couldn't. So I'm glad that you were able to make out something, because I couldn't make anything out. Between like the shitty quality that it was like for me to watch anyway on my computer, I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Well, and then they find the dead body the next day, which is this bartender's, the woman who is the wife of Pappy, who sings and also runs the bar. Mm. And she's like somehow sleuthing around to try to get answers at the hotel, which makes no sense. But the guy that died is the guy that he kicked out. Mm-hmm. And so they think Ted is the reason, you know, that all these people are dying. It starts to kind of like pile up.
Oh, I thought he was like, he went missing.
I don't remember.
Missing or
the
something.
The movie's pretty fucking hard to follow.
I remember him saying he went missing. They found his ID in like his pocket or something, but they never found a body for that dude. Well, he was like missing or something.
Possibly on that part, but I know that they were trying to definitely make Ted look like the killer.
Oh yeah, they thought it was him, and that's why they like check his hotel room and shit. And he catches them. Well, he knows they're doing it. They
show like Ted like opening a case full of money and like being all shady about it, which was kind of weird. And then I don't know why Father John is always in this fucking picture. Like he's always constantly talking to the fucking inspector. I'm like, don't you think that you could ask the people around the dead bodies questions instead of Father John all the time.
Do your job.
Right. So he's telling the rest of the story of part 5 again and what happened that fateful night that Mary Lou made the final choice into who she was going to shoot. Because at the end of fucking that movie, she is like, oh, who do I shoot? Because who's the werewolf? And then you find out she's the werewolf. Big spoiler alert there. But it's where it starts to get really muddled up for me.
Because he makes it a point to say that she made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
With whoever she shot. And then I was like, but I thought she was supposed to be the werewolf.
Right.
So what the fuck are you trying to say to me
Maybe
now?
he was just wrong about it? I don't know.
So. Like, I don't know what the fuck was going on. And then, like, is it even her? The same person, like, later on? Mary Lou or whoever the fuck that was?
No, there was the chick from part 4, Mary Lou Ann, or Mary Ann or something. Marie Ann.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, like she shows up. But like the way that they piece this fucking movie together, guys, is just so terrible. So you don't really understand what's going on, but there's so many characters in the film, it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. So it really just confusing to me and anybody who watch it. And we're intently watching this film.
Yeah.
Like we're intently trying to figure out what's going on because we have to fucking review it. So like, if you can imagine, if we don't even know, then who the fuck does?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I don't think they do.
No. But he talks about Mary Lou's back essentially somehow. And he doesn't really say how or anything, but he's alluding to that. So, you know, he tells him that it's been 3 years since that castle, and it takes 3 years for a werewolf to mature. And the date coincides with a full moon. Woo! But he heeds, you know, the inspector warning, sort of. But during all this, Cheryl, this other girl who out of the blue, I have no idea where she is or where she comes from, is kind of like hot for Ted or always up his ass and like trying to like sneak around to find out about him or something. Mm-hmm. And then she joins another bar worker, like you mentioned, to go through his shit to see if he's like whatever. And then he kind of oversees them going through his room, acting like coy and dumb. Yeah. But he doesn't know why they're doing it. So now it's time for another really bad joke in the movie, by the way. Ted comes over to Brock. Brock says, "Hey, Ted, you into anything else other than George Jones?"
Oh, my God.
Ted says, "As a matter of fact, I'm into necrophilia, sadism, and bestiality." Brock says, "Oh, yeah?" Ted says, "Yeah, I think I'm fucking a dead horse." What? I mean, I have to enjoy the sort of darkness of it, but like, who would ever say that?
No one. Like,
I think he's trying to mimic that country boy.
I think so.
Mentality,
but it's like offensive.
Yeah, like
insulting as
yeah,
fuck.
I'm a child rapist. I'm a fucking.
I partake in some pedophilia. You know, like
I punch elderly and. Like, what? Calm down.
Punched my grandma in the taint earlier today.
Yeah, I like to fuck corpses. You ever had one of them? Like a dead horse. A dead horse.
Dead horse.
Yeah. But anyway, they talk about George Jones way too fucking much.
Way too fucking much.
And there's even a moment like after that he talks to another patron about Elvis Costello did something with George Jones or something like, or he covered a track or something like that. I'm like, good Lord, man.
Literally like, just leave George Jones alone.
I thought they were going to dig up George Jones out of his grave and like prop him up in the middle of the fucking dance floor.
Sing a fucking ditty.
Put some strings on him, maybe fucking like sing Pinocchio or something. I've got 2 strings and I'm not. Okay, whatever. That's really bad. It's totally disrespectful.
Well, he did say he was into necrophilia, so I really thought that was going to happen. I was like, he's going to fuck George Jones in the butt.
So now that there's the part where there's these 2 patrons that are making fun of Ted, calling him and quote, so you don't get mad at me, guys, a red-haired faggot. And he comes over and he makes a bet with them saying, I bet I can drink that.
Oh, this part I did not understand at all. So, I did not know what was happening. So
Ted like overhears, like the British guy Ted like overhears these guys calling him names and stuff, and he kind of like makes light of it and tries to be fun with them because they're patrons, and he's like just putting up with it. He's a nice guy. And then he's like, he comes over and he's like, they're talking about how smart. He's like, "Oh, you think you're a smart guy, huh?" And he was like, yeah, I think I'm a smart guy. Yeah, tell you what, I bet you I can drink this drink. And he pours like his beer in a shot glass on the table, puts his hat over it and says, I bet you I can drink that drink without touching my hat. And he's like, and he was like, I ain't no fool. I ain't gonna be no fool. You gonna be a fool, Henry? And they put money down on the table, and like, and then Ted goes under the table, and he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going under the table to drink it. And he's like, what? And so then the patron that was talking to him about Elvis Costello and George Jones slides a beer across the concrete floor, and then he starts drinking it. It comes back up, spits it into another empty glass. He's like, there you go. And they're like, hell no, you didn't drink that. And he lifts up the hat, and then Ted grabs the cup that was under the hat and drinks it. He was like, see, told you I didn't have to touch the hat to drink it.
Oh my God, I get it now.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. I literally was like, I watched that scene twice and I didn't understand what happened. I was like, what is the bet and what are they doing? Like, why is he underneath the table? Why is he spitting that beer in that shot glass? I don't understand what's fucking going on.
That's an old bar trick.
Jesus.
It's like an old bar game, you know?
Apparently, I just had to have you retell it to me like a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Now I understand what's going on.
So essentially what happens then, because the other two guys get pissed off, they feel like they got ripped off. They're like, he cheated, and they kicked him out of the bar. And he's like, we should kill him or something like that. And he's like, calm down, man. You don't need to go all that far.
Mm-hmm.
And so later Ted gets off work and the guy like attacks him and puts a knife to his throat, which now we see red wolf vision again out of nowhere. And it's not Ted this time. Like you see the wolf like knock out Ted as he gets away.
Yeah.
I think
he knocks out Ted first
and then chases the guy with the knife and then rips his throat out. But I couldn't really tell because you can't see it.
Mm-mm.
But it takes them to the next day to find the dead guy, which the lady who runs the bar and who's the wife of Pappy and sings, all the time with him on stage, is there with her friends and insists that they tell Pappy about the dead body. And she's like, don't tell Pappy. And she was like, well, maybe we should call the cops, the police on this. But then she says, this may be the dumbest or the smartest thing I've ever done, y'all, but just bury him. Like, what? No.
Well, and they find out, too, he's like he's out on parole for murder or something.
Right.
And I'm like, what?
Like, why wouldn't you call the cops? Like, what are you covering it up? Because it'll look bad for business in the only bar in Pioneer Town?
Yeah, no, don't tell Pappy. He's already had one heart attack. And I'm like, oh, my God.
Ain't nobody not going to go get some goddamn beer at the Pioneer Town Saloon because that's the only place you can get shit-faced. So and get bit by a werewolf, apparently.
That whole exchange I didn't understand. She's just like, just bury him.
But
what?
You also get to hear wolf howl after he gets killed too.
Like, if he's on fucking parole for murder, why would you just bury him? Because obviously his parole officer is going to come looking for him.
Right.
You dumbass.
This is when, by the way, we see the dirt chili scene, by the way, where this girl's like in a big ass, jacked up truck. And she asks him something, and he's like, I think he's over there or something, and then...
I'm cooking here.
And then she speeds off, and you see dirt in it, and then, like, that guy's like, hey, Pappy, I think there's dirt in your chili.
It gave me my favorite scene from this entire movie. So,
which was what happened after it?
Yes, so I am so fucking...
So when Ted makes the chili?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm so fucking happy for this moment. So Ted made more chili or what?
Yeah, Ted's out there taking over the chili because Pappy fucked up and couldn't get it, so he had to... I don't know if he kept the dirt in. That would probably be like the movie anyway.
Probably. Pappy didn't fuck up the chili, all right? That bitch in the hill-lifted truck fucked up the chili. Pappy didn't do nothing.
You stand up for Pappy.
Poor Pappy. Like, I feel bad for Pappy. Anyway, so yeah, he gives chili to this. It was the dude with the strong ass accent, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he just he walks away and then just like basically shits his pants.
Right. Yeah. He's like, you can have the rest of that. That bowl.
My God.
You hear him farting as he's going away.
And then the dude, like, Ted's like laughing.
And the music's all country happy.
The music's all, yeah. And then he just like, he rips one and then he goes a little bit further, rips another one, and then like rounds the corner into like the bar, rips another fucking fart, and then everybody from the bar leaves.
Yeah, you see 3 guys run out.
All, like, plugging their noses and shit and like wafting the air around them. And I was like, it was so ridiculous.
Dude, I half expected to hear Benny Hill music. You know?
It really needed that fart joke, though. Like, it woke me up. It revived me for a minute.
I guess,
because I was like, "What in the fuck?" Like it was just.
But it's like this movie doesn't know what to be. Like I know it's like this good-hearted thing, but like it just doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it's so stupid. But I love farts, so I was good.
To kind of get through this story a little bit more, Ted throws out some bloodied clothes that he finds because he wakes up after getting attacked, and you would think that there's a dead guy on the fucking road. So why wouldn't he have seen that when he went to bed? Mm-hmm. And then he's like throwing out his bloodied clothes or something, and they don't even really make sense of that.
He has the guy that he knew that went missing. He has his ID. They find his ID in his pocket.
Yeah, because that girl goes out to the trash and just happens to find the one bag that he threw away.
That's red paint. And she's like, red paint can cover up blood. And I'm like, what the fuck are you people talking about? And then they find the ID of the missing dude. And they're like, why would it be in Ted's pocket? And, oh my God.
And then it's like these three, like, I just think chicks. I think of like the HOA of the neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're like the fucking annoying soccer moms.
Right. But they're like, we should call the cops now. So then we get thrown back to Father John, and he starts talking about Marie Adams from the fourth movie, which is a really confusing timeline, but they reference, part 4 a lot, and they tell the story of Richard, who turned into a puddle in that movie, from apparently the girl's perspective, as she tells a story about the whole incident. Like, why? Mm-hmm. Why, though? It's because they thought they were being clever and trying to tie it in together. It really didn't even matter.
No, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
They could have just said her name was Mary Lou and she was suspected killer or anything, instead of this long, elaborate, no reason to be in their movie.
Yeah, none of that. None of Marie makes sense. She doesn't need to be a part of it. And them retelling the shit from the fourth movie is not necessary. There's no fucking point to involving her in it at all. And they find a way to sort of make it relevant a little bit later on, but it still doesn't make any sense.
No.
Why it's fucking necessary.
No, and Father John, of course, is he's always attached to this, which you find out later is because he's somehow involved with trying to sin. I don't even know.
I don't know.
But they do talk about the British guy a little bit, in that he was the guy that didn't actually die from part 5. The guy that went out in the snow.
Fell off the castle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that he survived. Yeah.
Right.
And then he came to America to tour America. And that's Ted, I guess, or something.
Supposedly. Yeah.
But it wasn't, because he's British and the other guy was Australian.
I'm pretty sure he's Australian.
It didn't make any sense.
But I don't know.
No, the guy in the part 5 is definitely Australian.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, anyway.
Accents, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't. None of this makes any sense anyway. So it's who cares what his accent
But this is when they decide that they should have a song break, of course, because, why not? And it's a song about drugs and how there ain't no good. Everyone sings along around the fire. I think I'll sit here with my scription beer and never do drugs again. I don't even remember how it goes, but something like that.
Just say nope to dope.
Yeah. Anyway, the police show up and they talk to one of the lady bar sleuths and say, we're going to find out if Ted's the killer. So the cop knocks on Ted's door and takes him around back of the hotel. He shoves him in this room and forces Ted to suck his cock. And
I wish that's what happened.
It just sounded kind of dark when I was saying that.
I wish that's what happened. It would have been more entertaining.
But anyway, I was just kidding. He didn't do that. So the cop basically forces him in this room around the back and tries to make him confess into, they get into a fight where Ted wins and he's screaming, "You want more of this?" But
more of this dick.
The cop's ready to kill at this point. He pulls out his gun and then the lights go out and you hear a growl and they show the werewolf's face. This is the part where they show the werewolf face from part 5, I believe.
I think so.
5 or 4, one of the two. Anyway, they're all muddled together, like we said. But anyway, now the inspector shows up to apprehend Ted with Father John, who both think it's Ted, but apparently it's not. Father John, the peaceful priest, shows Ted a silver bullet too, you see this? And he's like, God damn, dude. Fucking, what are you, shotgun preacher? Fucking calm down, dude. Even this inspector says it's a little weird that a man of faith can kill a man, because he's always talking about killing Ted.
Right.
Because he knows that he's one. Father's he's not a man, though. He's a clever wolf, I guess. What the fuck? So stupid. This is where I got really lost, though. I don't fucking understand any of these movies enough for me to figure out what the fuck is actually fully going on, nor do I care, because those are respectfully the worst in the franchise. But they keep Ted holed up in the hotel, and he attacks Father John, and Cheryl helps him run away. And, like, she confesses that she's not Cheryl and that she's actually Mary Lou from Budapest. From part 5, the castle one.
Yep.
And then the inspector comes and she like fires a gun at Ted, and it's like pow pow, and it's like you think he's dead, and then like the inspector comes in.
He just like walks by next to him.
He's like, "Hey there, Mary Lou."
Not impactful whatsoever. He just literally like walks around him like, "Oh hey guys."
Yeah, and then Ted's like, "Hey, we set you up. Because we knew that you were going to do this."
Yeah, those are blanks.
Yeah, those are blanks, by the way. And then we get treated to one of the absolutely worst transformations in all of the franchise, or any film, pretty much, for that matter.
Basically ever, yeah.
I mean, it's pretty bad because, one, they were transforming her face to a really bad...
like cartoon wolf mask.
Wolf mask, yeah. It was really laughable. It was like something you would buy at, like, you know, a toy store.
Yeah, you guys can find this transition on YouTube, by the way.
Yeah, I'll include it in the thing, and I'll be posting it on all our social media.
It's like on there literally as like the worst wolf transformation ever or something like that. Like, it's so bad.
Yeah, and that's they basically, you see her change, but she busts her way out of the hotel room, and you hear gunshots, and the next scene is the bar and all the patrons in on another song for the sake of the film credits, to roll.
Yeah, like the whole town has silver bullets apparently, and like shoots her.
Right.
By the way, like that's how they kill this girl and this werewolf. It's like all of a sudden the entire town knows what's going on, and they all have silver bullets and shoot her.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's really it. And then they have Clive Turner come on stage and sing poorly with the two other people who also sang kind of poorly, even though they're really nice people, it seems like.
Yeah.
Like, there's something like family about them, like I keep saying, but yeah. I pretty much started punching myself in the face at this point because I was like, oh my God, I have spent more time on this movie than anyone should.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I still don't understand anything, but...
Yeah, so that's the Howling New Moon Rising, by the way, guys. If you ever want to see it, you don't have to now. You're welcome.
We broke it down for you.
You're welcome.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't ever have to watch it.
So Brittany's going to be doing the next movie.
The Howling Reborn.
And it came out in 2011.
I know, which I was like, holy shit. I was so excited when I saw it came out in 2011. I'm going to let you know right now.
16 years.
I was like... ew, fuck, it's been 16 years?
It was 2011, well then there was 16 years between that one and 7. Yeah.
So it is about a teenage outcast who discovers that he's a werewolf, shockingly.
Yeah.
And he must battle a pack of the brutal creatures when they threaten him and his new girlfriend.
God damn.
Dun, dun, dun. This movie was directed by Joe Nimzicki.
Nimzicki,
I
probably.
can't read my own fucking writing. That's what it is. Joe Nimzicki, who did one episode of the TV series The Outer Limits and did a music video for Cindy Alexander for the song Wonderful.
I don't even know who that is.
I had to look her up. It's terrible. Don't do it. Yeah, that's it, literally. So
okay,
this was his one and only movie.
Okay.
Good times, I guess.
Was it written by him too?
The screenplay was written by him and also James Robert Johnston, who did the screenplay. Also, who wrote the Unhitched TV series Joyride 2: Dead Ahead. Okay. And In the Blood. Okay. And also it's credited to Gary Brandner.
Yeah, who wrote always. Every single Howling movie.
Yeah, but this movie's credited to the Howling 2 book.
Yeah,
directly.
Which, by the way, they give them credits to them both of these movies, 7 and 8, and these have nothing to do with any of the novels.
No, at all.
Yeah.
It stars Landon, and I'm going to say his name probably totally wrong, so I'm going to apologize ahead of time. Laborian?
No clue.
Lebo Iron? It's how it looks when you look at it. Anyway, he plays Will Kidman. He is from Zombie Punch, Altitude, Truth or Dare, the new or new-ish show.
That's
Frontier.
What he's from. Truth or Dare.
He is also.
He's the guy that came in the fucking place that starts the whole problem.
Oh yeah, you're right. And he's also in Hemlock Grove.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
one of the main characters in Hemlock Grove. That's how I know him.
Okay.
And then from Frontiers, Jason Momoa. Also has Lindsay Shaw, who plays Eliana Winter, who is from No One Lives, Love Me, and most recently Pretty Little Liars. She's had a long-standing character on that show.
Okay.
Which I've never seen and don't ever intend to see. Also has Ivana Milesevic, who plays Catherine or Kay. She's from Children of the Corn 3, Postmortem, Banshee Origins TV show, Banshee TV show, and a metric fuck ton of other movies.
I've seen her in
she's
stuff.
In Casino Royale. She's in a lot of shit. She's one of those people that you look at and you remember her face.
Right.
Or she's like another one of those, oh, it's that person.
Right.
They have a whole website dedicated to those actors and actresses where you go, it's that guy. It also has Jesse Rath, who plays Sachin. Whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's Sachin because I thought it was a cool name. I was like, that's kind of like a writer's name.
It is, but it's like, it's Sachin.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's so funny because I didn't catch that throughout the entire movie, that was his name.
Yeah.
Like, I never caught his name. I just knew it was his friend.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, what a fucking name. He is primarily just a television actor. He was in the series Being Human, Defiance, and Supergirl. Also has Frank Scorpion, who plays Jack Kidman, or Will's dad. He was in Arrival, Relative Fear, Dead End, and another film called Die. So
that's pretty much all we need.
That's it.
Just the top actors, yeah.
And I was going to include some of the other people, but there was really no need.
There is a few, but yeah,
they didn't really go on to do a whole lot of notable things. And the kid who plays the chick's boyfriend, the chick's original boyfriend or whatever, the foreign one that has that really strong accent. All of his other movies are all like French or some shit.
Okay.
It's probably not French, guys. Don't fucking come at me for not knowing where his native, where he acts or whatever, but it's all shit that I can't fucking pronounce or say. So I was like, I'm not going to mention him.
Typical American.
Because I'm just going to fuck that right up. So I was like, we're just going to leave it alone. I can barely say American people's names. So there's that. Did you love it? Did you love it so much?
Well, first of all, I did want to mention one tiny thing before we get too far into it, but this was actually an Anchor Bay film distribution.
Yes.
So they put their name on it. So after seeing part 7, this ain't bad, but it's not exactly great or even good. It's sort of just like an average regurgitation of some of the more popular teeny bopper pop horror films of recent years. You know what I mean? Like Twilight, stuff like that. I'm a fucking disco ball, bitch.
I don't know. I don't fucking get it, but...
Well, it's definitely not my type of film to watch, but it didn't make it insanely horrible to watch, especially coming from part 7, like I mentioned. I made it all the way through to the end. I didn't think it was as bad. I came out the other end pretty thankful it was nowhere near as bad as the one before it, but, there were some extremely tropey parts in this movie, making it a very below average film for me. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot worse films in the franchise, but the whole movie kind of starts off exactly like Spider-Man, like verbatim, like almost verbatim anyway. But there's a nerdy guy who's really smart, who has a rough past with losing his mom and always gets picked on, has a goofy friend. He keeps eyeing the hot girl with the shithead boyfriend who has, who always bullies him. You got, this one sort of had a male sort of The Craft vibe to it.
Totally does.
In the beginning a little bit. Because they have the group of bad boys he gets involved with, but it's similar to Spider-Man or Teen Wolf of the TV show, if you've seen that, just nowhere near as fun in my opinion. And the acting isn't perfect sometimes, but there's definitely some effort in there. It's not terrible. It's tolerable. So, it's got a whatever sort of typical story with the writing and everything that really doesn't impress me overly. Might be why this one kind of snuck by a lot of people's radars, because it's kind of, you can tell that they were definitely trying to market it for like that crowd, that Twilight crowd.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
It's so MTV. Like...
I never saw it. I don't think I ever was interested because I hadn't seen any of the other ones before it. I missed a lot of these. Like a lot of these, the franchise I haven't seen. Plus, I feel like a lot of people really haven't delved too far into this franchise like myself, because every time I talk to people, they're always like, oh yeah, I only saw up to like 2 or 3 or something like that.
Past 2.
Right. Or they might have seen like one stray one out of the blue.
Yeah.
But it was pretty bad. Like the franchise has been pretty bad. So, I'm sure a lot of people lost interest a few sequels back. But there is a little bit more blood in this movie and a little bit more gore, but nothing super impressive. Although one scene in particular, I was impressed with the makeup effects and with the practical effect that they did. But the werewolves acting was actually pretty spot on for a werewolf film, I thought. Like the physical actors were really good in it, I thought. And the suits looked pretty typical in a way, but a little different. Had like a new flair, like they were from Hawaii or something.
It was weird.
It wasn't it? Like have you ever seen
they
those
tried to look like
tribal like things where they have the palm leaves on their legs and their arms?
Yes.
Like, is that Hawaii? Is that what I'm thinking of? The werewolves look like fucking I
want to say that's
it's
Polynesian
like it's a Polynesian thing because they do the poi and the fire.
Yes.
But it's that's like what it looked
Samoan,
like.
Polynesian.
Like the hair on their body was like there was no hair except for those parts.
The big puffy legs.
Right.
Yeah, it was weird. But a lot of them to me looked like vampires.
Yeah. Well, they were trying to skirt that line a little bit.
Yeah. And
they mentioned vampires a lot. It's like, hey guys,
not one of those
if you like vampires, you can also like.
I'm not one of those fruity makeup wearing vampires or whatever. Like the kid fucking hates vampires, by the way. Like his nerdy friend. It's great.
Yeah. So, some of it is pretty typical. So, it seems to be a big word in what I think about when I think about this movie. Like, coming from such shit film to this really kind of puts it up a little bit on a pedestal. But it also, in some ways, is more modern. So you compare it to more modern stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because 2011 it's not that long ago.
Yeah.
So, but it's still at the tail end of the franchise as far as the best movies. Like, if you were to go between all 8. It's still towards the end anyway. And we'll get into that, by the way, at the end of this to kind of wrap up what movies we felt in which order. But it at the very least tried to be entertaining, even if I wasn't, its demographic that they were trying to reach, which I think was deliberately trying to reach that teen fan base. And perhaps, it did its job for those people who were younger than me.
If I would have watched this like when it came out, I feel like I probably would have liked it a lot more.
Right.
Because it has that feel of that time frame.
Kind of like a 90s feel.
It has a 90s, yes, it totally feels 90s
like a big budget 90s feel.
Really does. And it's weird because it takes me into all these different places of all these different movies that I really, really loved, you know, from like early 2000s, like late 90s or whatever. So it's very like The Craft or like Wild Thing. It has that feel. Kind of to it. Like, it all kind of feels like dreamy.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, watching this movie, like, it has that weird dreamy vibe to it. 2011, I would have been closer to the demographic that they're trying to go for.
Right, yeah.
Or in the demographic that they were aiming for. So I feel like if I would have seen it then, I would have liked it more. It's so fucking sexually charged. To me, that's more of a vampire thing than a werewolf thing. So I was very confused about why. But I don't know shit about werewolves.
Not necessarily, because the Howling franchise has had a lot of sex.
Yes, it has. And that's that's why I tried not to look too, like, to judge it too much for that, because I don't know jack shit about fucking werewolf mythology or anything like that, or if they're the same way. I just know vampires are super sexual.
Right.
But, and I don't know if werewolves are too. I mean, it makes sense because it's a whole animalistic thing, so it's like, it's understandable, but I'm like, it's just awkward.
Yeah,
I would do it so much in this that it's unnecessary most of the time that I just feel like I don't know.
This movie is kind of like, if I probably wouldn't go out to buy it. Like, it's not something that I would really be interested in getting.
Yeah, I'm not gonna own this movie, but
it's but maybe if I wanted to like complete my entire collection, which I don't own 7 or 8, so I own the rest. Because Josh, actually, one of our listeners and friends that you've hung out with too, bought them for us and to watch, basically. But this is, one of the most jumbled franchises I've ever seen. And this is a teeny film that I'm not really anxious to see again so much. Maybe it's like a 4 out of 10 for me and my personal interests and overall. Yeah. It's like, it could be like a 6 for some people, like, I think. Who are into that kind of style. So, I mean, if you're into that, you might like it. I wasn't disappointed with it. it was like nothing could go wrong in this movie really at this point.
No, this is a standalone movie to me. I don't see how it's related to this franchise whatsoever.
No, it's just updated sort of.
It's supposed to be like a fresher, newer, updated version
Reborn.
or whatever. And I get that, but I just don't see how they can tie it to this movie other than the fact that they say it's based on the second book, which it's not.
Right. Well, there's some pretty heavy messages in this movie too that I was like, okay, you really should just be a movie and not do this. Why are you going? And we'll get into that here in our spoiler scenes. But before that, Brittany, what would you give it a score of?
Probably a 4.
Yeah.
Out of 10. Yeah, I didn't hate it by any means.
Yeah.
It was actually decent to watch, and coming off of the last several movies of this franchise, good lord, this is a breath of fucking fresh air.
Right. It didn't fit. It doesn't fit with the franchise.
No.
But it is refreshing.
But none of the other ones make any fucking sense.
Right.
So at least this one makes sense. I don't know.
It's the more straight-laced one of all of them.
It really is. It tells a fucking clear and concise goddamn story from beginning to end.
Right.
And they wrap it up in a weird ass way.
Yeah.
But they wrap it up and it's done. And I'm
Right.
like, cool. This is perfect.
It makes coherent sense in a way.
Sort of, because then now you have just 2 werewolves, and you're like, well, what's happening?
They got it. They try to get a little too clever at the end, and we'll get into that.
Yeah, it's kind of comical, actually.
Yeah, I started laughing at parts, but then there is some funny shit in this movie that's inadvertently funny too.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, it was fun.
What about some of the trivia? What did you have for that?
So not so much trivia. There's really not a lot of trivia. Actually, there's none on this movie.
Okay.
At all. But I did pull a little bit of things that I found interesting from some interviews that I read.
Okay.
With the actress who played Catherine. So with Ivana
Humbalot?
Yeah, that's all I think about.
That's all I ever think about too.
And then some interviews with Joe, the writer and director.
Okay.
For the movie. An interview with Shakya.com. It was Karen Bernardello who interviewed Ivana. So I want to give a shout out to them because I totally pulled this off of your interview.
Nice.
Karen, good job. She actually asked her the question that given that the movie had a small budget and a 25-day shooting schedule, did you experience any particular difficulties or obstacles when you were filming? Ivana opened up a lot about how this was a low budget film, which obviously leads to Karen's question about it. But she said, there's lots of things that happened because we didn't have a lot of time. And there was one point where Landon had to wear contacts and it actually gave him an eye infection.
Oh, fuck.
Then we had to shoot really creatively. She's like, mind you, we didn't have a lot of time and a lot of days. It's a little movie and we only had the time we had and that was it. Usually at the end of the movie, I'm like, now I'm ready to do it again. And now I'm ready to do it better. But I didn't feel that with this one. And she's like, now it's just done. And that's it. And it was over. And I'm like, oh man, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, really.
She
Jesus.
doesn't really go into anything where she says that she's not proud or wasn't happy about doing this film. But a lot of her conversation about it is that she was rushed and they all tried to do the best that they could with what they had. And so they're proud of what they created.
Right.
But it's not as fulfilling to her as her roles in Casino Royale.
So that's why she keeps saying little budget because it didn't feel like a little budget movie.
It didn't, but it was. It was a low budget film.
It might have been the lowest budget she had worked on at least, but
yeah. Well, they shot it in 25 days. That was their schedule.
That's not that bad. That's pretty typical, actually.
It is, but I feel like that's really short.
3 weeks for an independent film or something like that is about normal.
And then GeekTyrant.com, Jim Napier actually interviewed Joe. And asked him if he takes any aspects other than the werewolf traits from the original motion picture or any of the main sequels that diehard Howling fans might pick up on and appreciate. So he says, it was essentially an original screenplay and I added a wrinkle or two to the traditional werewolf rules. I did tip my hat a few times to the original for those paying attention though. As far as the sequels go, I never saw any of them. So there's no influence there. And I was like, oh my God. And that is a running theme, mind you.
Yeah, nobody likes any of the other films, yeah.
Among all the interviews that I read with all the actors and the director and the writer, none of them have seen anything past the first one.
Right.
They've only seen Howling. And Landon didn't actually see Howling until right before he started filming this movie.
Yeah, John from The Conduit, John Hale, the director.
Yeah.
He was like, dude, you're really taking one for the team because this is a bad one. Nobody has seen this franchise, so.
Yeah. And then the other little bit that I had from here, which I thought was interesting because I thought that this would be what I considered Twilight with werewolves.
Yeah.
For killerreviews.com, Gavin Schmidt interviewed Joe and asked him, the biggest criticism the film seems to get is that it uses this MTV style or is Twilight inspired. How do you respond to this? And Joe says, I'm not really sure what to say about the MTV style thing, as the film is so character-based. We did a few fun creative sequences, and the story as a whole is briskly paced, and I think that these are more traditional cinematic devices more than any music video inspiring things. But as far as the Twilight comment, I wrote and registered this story before there was ever a Twilight book or movie, so it certainly wasn't influenced by it.
Huh.
And he said, the irony is, at the time I wrote it, everyone was worried that you couldn't have a love story in a horror film. They wanted something more traditional where wolves just killed off teenagers one by one. Twilight did help us in the sense that after it came out, it showed that a love story within the genre could work and probably help the project move forward.
Right. Yeah, you might be right. Yeah.
And
so
I
it took,
agree
he sat
with
on
that.
it for like a while.
He had to have, yeah. Like I was like, holy shit! Like, and I thought that was really, really cool. And then the last bit I had was how he asked him about how much music influences his creativities and what bands have inspired him, because he talks about the soundtrack, which he has like Echo and the Bunnymen and stuff on here.
Yeah,
and, like,
he did
the
have
soundtrack for this is fucking great.
Well, I don't know about
Like,
great.
well, it's like some of it's
but
good.
I definitely enjoyed hearing Echo and the Bunnymen.
Yeah.
Reminded me of the Donnie Darko when they did it in Donnie and Darko.
Exactly. Like there was a couple of songs that they had on here that I was like, oh shit, like this is fucking cool. Like,
Under the blue.
I love that fucking song.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
So I was like, that's really cool.
Copyright strike.
But yeah, I thought it was really interesting because he says mainly the first thing he does whenever he starts a project is he makes a big playlist of all the songs he could see on the potential soundtrack, and then he writes the script while listening to it.
That's pretty cool.
And then he kind of picks
way to
and
do
chooses from there. And he plays the songs that he wants for the soundtrack on the set, too, as they prepare to shoot each individual scene to give the cast and crew like a better idea of the mood that he's trying to set.
Right.
And
the
I'm like,
cadence or
that's
whatever.
pretty fucking smart.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really, really cool. I like the soundtrack.
Yeah, no, I think that's cool. I'm glad he addressed the Twilight issue because...
So, yeah, I had to include that part because I was like, that's what it made me fucking think of. I've never even seen fucking Twilight.
Right. Well, see, and this is what I was talking about when we were talking about Bird Box.
Yeah.
Like, and how Bird Box, a lot of people are like, well, it's kind of like The Quiet Place a little bit, because it kind of is. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not the same story verbatim.
It's just a different sense.
It's an apocalyptic event where people have to can't use their sight, and people can't use their mouth in the other one. So it's very similar. Mm-hmm. A lot of the same things sort of happen. And technically, there were creatures in the Bird Box. We just didn't get to see them. Mm-hmm. They showed them afterwards. It looked like these weird baby creatures.
Really?
Yeah, it was weird. But there was one little bit of trivia, just a little nod. At the end of the movie, they said, no werewolves are harmed in the making of this film.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
that's funny.
So
well, probably because I turned it off as soon as I could.
They always do that in those kind of movies, just for
cute.
silly fun. But I thought I'd point it out.
Oh, and the actor, Landon...
Yeah.
I just thought it's kind of funny because he plays a werewolf in this movie and he later goes on to play a werewolf in Hemlock Grove.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, oh my God, that's funny. I mean, to me, it's funny, but I liked Hemlock Grove a lot, so.
Well, I won't try to go through this too much because I feel like we should, there is things I want to talk about in this movie. This will be our spoilers section. And I realize that the episode's going a little long here. That's why we cut the news, because I had a lot to say about the other one. And maybe I'll trim that down for you guys just for your pleasure. But basically, the whole movie starts out in a girl in a studio. She's painting a red circle.
Yeah, great artist.
They don't ever really explain what the red circle thing is either.
They don't, which fucking annoys me.
I get it because it's like the moon or something, or blood moon or whatever the hell they're trying to kind of make an insinuation of. But anyway, the lighting rig that's up in the ceiling, you hear some guy up there and he says the girl's name, Kay or whatever. He's like, and then it drops on her. And she's like crushed underneath. She's got glass all over her face. And he's like, I've come for you. And what's inside of you?
So weird.
The real revolution is coming. And then they have a huge explosion outside. And you see the bloodied girl. And it looked like there was a little baby hand.
It looked like a tongue to me.
Is that what it was?
It looked like a tongue to me. Like, that's what I thought. And I was like, that's fucking weird.
I thought it looked like a little baby, like a baby doll hand.
It was supposed to be a baby hand, but it made motions like a tongue.
I guess. Maybe you're right.
I don't fucking know. Anyway.
Yeah, so then they kind of jump to
this didn't start off that great.
Essentially, they don't even explain this really.
They don't.
It didn't really make sense. They didn't associate the person who died in the beginning, but essentially it's his guy's mom who died.
Yeah.
It's this kid. The story, centers around a boy who lives with his family. you know, his stepdad now because his mother died. It's his stepdad.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Because they say it at the end, sort of. And we'll get into that.
I just thought it was his actual dad.
But...
Or whatever, because he has the ring. And he takes the ring off and shit, so it was like...
But the movie kind of jumps around a little bit. It's like him in front of the camera, and he's like, you're going to have to kill me. 18
years later.
Yeah, and then it's like... it's going to be hard. I know it's going to be hard. And he's in a school or something. And then it kind of jumps to him and his, whatever. And then he's in the principal's office and the principal's calling him sort of like a waste.
Yeah.
Like real dick.
He is a dick.
Like the kid's smart. Like because he didn't come to you. That
why is this in 4 years the first time I'm meeting you as your exit interview?
Yeah. He's like, well, isn't it a good thing? And he's like,
no,
not really. And then he's like, oh, you're one of the kids that won that academic award, the second place silver award, for blah, 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 blah.
It was a debate team.
And he was like kind of excited. This kid Will is like really excited about it. Like, oh yeah, I did actually. And he's like, oh, it's kind of disappointing, huh? Like, fuck
he basically
you,
just calls
dude.
him ordinary.
But dude, that guy's voice, by the way, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I loved his voice. Like, I seriously was like, that guy needs to do radio.
He's done a lot of shit. Like, he was one of the only other people I was actually going to include.
Yeah.
Like, actor, because he's done a lot of stuff.
I feel like I could listen to his voice all day long.
Yeah.
Like, I know it sounds weird, but like immediately when I heard his voice, and he's actually a pretty decent actor.
Yeah, he's in so much shit too. It's crazy.
Then you got, him, like, Will starts checking out the hot girl, and then she's always got her boyfriend kind of looking over his shoulder at him, and, the hot girl's boyfriend tries to rough him up for looking at her. And Eliana, this hot girl, she comes up to him and looks through his sketches, which are all of her. Creepy.
Yeah, that's fucking weird.
It is a little creepy, but you figure out later on that it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah,
too,
that was weird too. But she sort of laughs it off, and like her boyfriend had like cut his neck with his fucking ring, which I thought was kind of like, whoa, dude.
That was a lot.
Yeah, that was a bit much. Like, that's like dark. And he's got this accent too, like he's from fucking Europe.
He's the one that, all of his acting credits are all like European films.
He cuts his neck, and I'm like, ooh, edgy, But she like looks through his artwork, and then she like takes the blood from his neck where he cut him, and makes him sign it. So they're trying to make you allude to think that she's a werewolf.
There's two types of people in this world, Will.
Right.
Those who take what they want, or those who, I don't know what the fuck she said. Those who take what they want and those who let them or some shit. I don't fucking know.
Right, but she's like, she's really so dark and edgy and kind of a bitch.
I know, like I liked her, but she annoyed me at the same time.
Yeah, like, but then she changes throughout the whole movie later, so it's like, what the fuck?
Also, it's hilarious that he's supposed to be this like nerdy, like, nerd.
That's where they all transform, though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He's like this nerdy dude, but he's like 10 times hotter than her stupid boyfriend.
Later on.
No, the entire time. He's like a million times more attractive. Even like with his glasses on and his hair all in his face. Like he's even way cuter than her stupid boyfriend is. I'm like, this is not believable.
To be honest, I mean, most times.
I hate that stupid, like having to like make the nerdy dude, like all of a sudden he gets hot.
I don't
he
think
loses his glasses, so now he's attractive.
But she gives him a flyer. It's like to a party that they're all going to be at. And she's like insinuating that he'll be his her plus one because her boyfriend was out shooting at a movie or something, I guess.
Whatever
right?
he's doing. I don't fucking know.
But anyway, she starts rubbing, like he shows up to the party, and it's kind of weird because he runs into these like
the hot dudes.
The
bad boys that just got transferred there a month before graduation.
Right. And they're like
they're the fucking
They're like he's like, the one guy's like, hey, I got like, a fucking my pet girl here, and he puts a pill of ecstasy, I'm assuming, in her mouth. And then she goes over and makes out with him, with Will, the main nerdy boy. And then the hot girl shows up and is all like up on his shit and like rubbing up on him like she's like in heat or something while they dance. And it's like really weird. And then you see the bad guys kind of like walking behind the curtain in this like, it's like a rundown sort of like building.
But they're like transitioned. They're like werewolves.
Yeah, you see their faces as wolves in the shadow.
Weird. It's like they're attacking people.
He's sort of freaking out because he's tripping on X, and they kind of like go outside, and he brings the hot chick with them. That's when they were dancing to the fucking Echo and the Bunnyman track. Mm-hmm. He runs out with Eliana, and then all of a sudden she's gone, and he's being chased by a werewolf in the same direction. So it's like highly suspect. Like, okay. He's like running through all these like buildings, like jumping, locking doors, puts a like lock bar, like the one where you put the bar like on either, you know what I mean, on either side of the door.
Like a castle
so
door.
that like, yeah, like a castle
so
fucking
weird.
door. Like I was like, what? But he narrowly escapes through this pipe in the ceiling and comes out of the road. And he's like explaining this to the security guard, and the security guard's like, whatever, like I don't believe you. Just put it down in the thing as other. And then Eliana shows up and he's like, what are you doing here? And then she just walks away.
Well, yeah, because the security guard realizes that he's high. And he's
Right.
like, oh,
He's
you're
like, are you
What's
high?
And he's like, are you with him? She's like, no. Just walks off. And
I was like, damn.
hell yeah, girl.
Fuck that.
That made me laugh so hard. 'Cause I'm not with him.
That's
Just fucking
fucked
walks
up.
away. But that's it. That's how and it ends like that. Like next scene.
Right.
You know,
That's
and
when
I was like, stupid.
That's when you get to meet Sachin.
Whatever his name is. Yeah.
Yeah, Sachin is the best goofy friend who wants to be like a movie maker or whatever. He like is talking to Will about the entire breakdown of what werewolves are. Just happens to be talking about it, by the way, and that there happens to be a blue moon that night. So, and they joke about it or whatever. But in the cafeteria, we get another Spider-Man scene after that, and Ileana is texting him, flirting with him, saying his glasses look better off, and then he realizes that he can actually see without his glasses and didn't realize it. That's the Spider-Man scene I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Toby version of Spider-Man. Right. Like this, it follows almost the exact same.
It's weird.
It is kind of very similar to that.
He just didn't get like outright bit by a werewolf.
Right.
To turn him into a werewolf.
But then he gets roughed up again by her boyfriend in the bathroom, who crushes his glasses in his hand. Like, that's a bad idea. You're going to get cut.
Stupid.
Like, what the fuck?
And why does he care? He doesn't need him anymore anyway. So he's just like, no, man. Like, he all upset about it. And I'm like, you don't even... Why are you wearing them?
Yeah, and
your vision's blurry in them now.
And like I was thinking the same thing. Like I was like, this guy's a douche. But then Will kicks his ass in the thing and like throws him in the stall or whatever. But this is the part that really tripped me out.
Okay, me too.
Like fucking the bully guy, I can't think of his name, pulls out a fucking gun after this.
Yeah.
Like that he had it carrying on him. Like, first of all, he doesn't sound like he's from this, you know, like I don't know where he got a gun, in other words. And how did he get it into school? Like, they're in the middle of the city. Like, it's a pretty urban city, right? Like,
yeah.
You would think that they would have at 2011 probably some fucking like metal detectors in the middle of a fucking city school. Like
something.
That.
Yeah, something like that.
It was just really like
that
amped
was
up.
super weird, but also a lot of things that were confusing me as I was trying to understand what this school is.
Right.
Because it's inside of a church and it's like everything gets boarded up past a certain time. Metal bars and shit that like close off this fucking building. And it's the weirdest shit. And then like the boyfriend of the girl, when he cuts his neck in the beginning, he's saying like, I don't know how many times I have to tell you she only dates within the species. And I was like...
Yeah, that's because they're trying to make stupid nods.
It was weird. Like, I was like, is this a werewolf in normal person school? Like, I don't understand what they're trying to do here.
They were trying
so confused.
They were trying to make some what it turns out to be is that they're off-colored comments that have no substance in the werewolf
It's
you know,
retarded. But yeah, then he has this gun, and I'm like,
I was like, whoa,
how
dude,
does that happen? And it's
like
the weirdest looking gun too.
Like all of a sudden he's like a fucking cop, like pulling out a gun and shit. Like what?
Yeah, and
the
he just
fuck?
like pulls it out of like his waistband or something. And he's just like fucking like crazy ass motherfucker. I'm gonna shoot up the school. And I'm like,
well, then you see like werewolf vision or something. Like he's like coming at him.
But then what was confusing to me too is like after he pulls the gun and he goes looking for Will, the hot dude comes out of the bathroom.
Right.
Why?
I think
that was trying to trip everybody off to make us think that he's attacking him.
Spoiler alert for the very end, if you don't even know. Like towards the end, they tell him that he killed this bully because during this scene, you see the bully firing the gun at some wolf. Yeah. And then they tell
Will that it was him.
Yeah, but he was only there watching him. He wasn't actually the guy that killed the bad boy wolves, like guys. Didn't actually have anything to do with that death, and actually Will did. Yeah, transform.
Which I get that later, and that's why that was to throw us off, apparently,
right?
Like, to show him. But I was like,
throw us off the scent. You say
the scent? Yeah, there's like this movie like was good, but it had a lot of things that just didn't work.
But the funny part is when Will actually does kill him, or you don't know this at this point, you think it's the bad boy wolves.
Yeah.
but the werewolf chucks him over the railing, and you see his dummy body double smack its head on the railing as it falls. I lost that. I really did laugh pretty heavy there.
I just wish that they would have had like a blood capsule or something in it to where like
it pops at the end.
Yeah, that would have been fucking great.
Yeah. You can tell it was a dummy, and they even did it in black and white, I think. The second he threw it.
Yeah, it was in the weird werewolf-y vision that they did in this, and yeah, the second he like tossed it, you could tell it was a dummy.
Yeah, it was funny.
There was no way around even trying to pretend that it wasn't. Like,
they should have cut it like right clear. As he hit his head.
Yeah.
Like right before, and then it was like bank.
Yeah. Oh shit, that was so funny though. I was like, I shouldn't be laughing at this, but this was hilarious, like unintentionally hilarious.
Well, and now like he gets all jacked up like immediately after this, Will, which you find out later because he just killed. Mm-hmm. So he was like satiated or something, I guess. But shortly after, Will
got a body boner.
He's like walking down the hall, and he sees Eliana in the hall, and he says, "I'm tired of just surviving and existing." She's like, "Well, what do you want, Will?" And he kisses her really hard, and then he pushes her out a window, and she flips onto a car.
I wish that happened.
I know, that's what I was thinking. Like, I was like, God, why do we have to watch this shit? or he just says, "I want you."
Yeah.
And then, and walks away like a badass nerdy wolf that he is, you know? And then like, and she's all like, "Nice ass." Like, yeah, take what you want, you fucking rapist.
Wolfman.
I'm sorry, dude.
Furry bitch. I don't know. It's so weird.
But the next scene, he's like in the cafeteria, and one of the bad bull wolves is like in the cafeteria as one of the cafeteria workers. Like, what? Like, how are these kids like getting around? Like, what is going on?
I don't know.
And he's all like, "Do you want a hot dog or something like that?" And Will says, "I don't eat meat." So I guess he's a vegetarian.
Yeah, which I got that because it had soy bacon on the counter when he was having breakfast with his dad. Immediately, his dad knew and was trying to keep him from discovering that fact, and like wasn't feeding him meat.
Right.
So he never got a hunger.
Well, the bad boy cafeteria wolf says, "Well, do you know what they put in these things? It's not exactly meat. I mean, come on, man, live a little." And he reaches into the hot dog water and pulls out a finger with a ring on it.
Which is the kid.
Right.
The boyfriend, yeah.
And then he puts all the dressings, the relish, the hot and everything on it. He's like, "Here you go, man."
And you can still tell it's a finger.
And you can hear it like popping in his mouth. And I'm like, it's bone. And like, and then he's like, yeah, this is good, you know? And then he pulls the ring out of his mouth and looks at the cafeteria wolf guy. And then he says, "Oh, how's Roland taste?"
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the bully's name, by the way.
Roland. There it is. Thank you.
But anyway, so then again, he confides in his goofy best friend, Sachin, and he says, "Well, you're really a werewolf. You could cut yourself and it would heal." And then he takes a fucking knife and like goes all in and cuts his wrist. Like, I'm like, Jesus Christ. And then he's like, "Man, you're really committed to that."
He's like, "I'm going to get the nurse."
Yeah, and then Will just like heals up and leaves.
That was pretty funny.
I thought that was pretty funny, too.
That was a good scene, actually.
You also get to introduce into an older woman named Catherine, who's like previously been there for Will after he was first bullied, I guess.
Yeah, because she pretends like the one kid's hers.
Right. That's right.
She's pretending to be a mom or
she's whatever. Like, "That one's mine." And she's like, she's like, "Things are going to turn around for you. Don't you worry."
Yeah.
And then, the same woman apparently comes to the school and woos Will's dad. And then they go out that night. She like makes advances to get him to come out at night and like woos him. And then he's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll come." And then, they come home drunk to his house, to Jack's house, Will's father named Jack. And she comes on to him like really strong. She's like, "Why don't we just skip to the second date where we pretend to, where we fuck or something like that."
It was a weird exchange.
Yeah, she was getting all sexy time, like going up the stairs and shit. And then they talk about going on to the third or fourth date. He's like, "Well, how about we just skip to the third date where I don't actually perform so well?"
Yeah, well, we have really bad sex. And
yeah. And she's like, "Well, better luck. Maybe we should just skip to the fourth night where you have to fuck me so good that I have to come back."
It was fucking ew.
I was like, what is going on?
It was so uncomfortable. And at the same time, it was
kind of sexy, though.
They're cutting to the teenagers like trying to fuck too. And
exactly.
I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, because Will's in the library trying to research what werewolves and lycanthropes and all this shit, and he tells Eliana at this time while they're walking up the stairs that he's a werewolf and then she's gonna find him crazy, and then she starts dry humping him on the fucking floor of the library.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I did like her boner joke though.
That was funny.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly how.
Say like, oh, looks like you're going through a little transition.
Yeah.
Down here, whatever the fuck she says. It was something about transition in your pants or whatever. And I was like, that shit was funny. She's like, well, I guess I better go because it looks like you're going through a little transition yourself down there or something like that.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, that was good.
While Eliana's like grinding him, the fucking Catherine chick's grinding, like riding fucking Jack, ties him to the bed, is riding him, and then she's like, his voice is like, she's like, yeah, do I seem familiar? Like, I was like, ew, what is going on?
I know.
Like, as she's talking, her voice gets deeper, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. And then he starts seeing her as his dead wife.
Which it is.
It's the same person.
She was killed by a werewolf, and so she kills him for some reason, which makes no sense. She's like, oh, why didn't you protected our son and looked out for him and made sure he was taken care of? I'm going to kill you.
Well, she doesn't kill him yet, but...
She rips his... Well, you think he does.
We think he's dead, yeah. Which I wish they would have just killed him then, honestly. Like, I didn't feel like it was necessary to...
But yeah, she was like, do I look... You've gotten old and grown old while I've stayed young and hot. And then he's like, what?
Okay.
Yeah. But then the movie really turns into a love story at this point, and Eliana and Will confess their love to each other. In this part, I wrote it down verbatim, which I was like, ugh, this is so cornball. But they use a lot of quippy things to describe why they love each other. And he's like, so why are you, like, what made you interested in me? And she's like, I don't know. I guess you're like a good book I can't put down yet. And then she's like, hey, so what's it about me anyway? And he's like, it's like the rest of the world is in black and white and you're in color. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Why is this happening?
Yeah, it's like a raisin is in the sunshine while I'm eating a pickle. What? The fuck are you talking about? Just fucking get over with it. I'm just kidding.
Mouse is probably sitting out there going, what the hell is happening?
I know, like,
good Lord.
I'm not talking to Brittany. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so that's when I got like, ooh, baby, like, oh, God.
And she talks about when he was drawing her or whatever.
Right.
Like, I knew you were drawing all those pictures of me. And you just, I knew, but I didn't mind because I always made me feel beautiful on days when I wasn't. And I was like, what the fuck?
I know.
Shut up.
It's really heavy.
I was like, fuck already or stop talking. Like, change the scene, do something else.
I don't want you to see me for who I really am. A fucking disco ball! A fucking Twilight showing.
Jesus Christ.
Can you imagine his dick's all like glowing and like sequined?
What?
It's all sequined. Vampire cock.
Oh my God. Ew.
It might be good or bad. I don't know. Anyway,
vampires don't sparkle.
So then the mom jumps out of the library at this point and like is fucking, she's like fully fucking like werewolfed up, like werewolf bitch. And I mean that as in like no mother kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like a wolf. Anyway, she's not like a wolf, but she's just acting like really crazy. She like rips a book in half, crushes his phone. She's like, you don't need any of this. I'm your mom and blah, 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 blah. And then Eliana shows up and then it's like bitch fight all of a sudden with mom and Eliana.
Yeah, it was weird.
And she's like, you're not going to be able to control your urges, da 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 da. So you're going to kill her. And then the fucking bad boy werewolves guys that are just looking human show up and they're like, yeah, we're going to take care of her. And she's like backing up. And then Will's all like, hey, wait. He's like, let me do it. And then he runs at her and he's like about to kill her and he jumps out the window, turns so that she falls on him because he's a werewolf and won't die. And so she lands on top of him, which I'm pretty fucking sure she'd break a couple of legs.
Yeah.
She's not going to lay her legs on top of him perfectly.
I loved how she got up though from that because that was believable as shit. Because she's like all shaky. Like as she's like pushing herself up. And I thought her acting there was really
fair
good.
enough. I will give it that.
Like, yeah, they would have not. Like,
as highly unbelievable as that is.
hurt.
Yeah, she would have gotten hurt. But yeah, she did make up for it. So
her acting in that scene was really good.
But they run away, and the best friend is like all of a sudden shooting a video about his movie that he wants to make. I don't know if he's like trying to do that. He's trying to do some live event.
He was trying to live cut into the graduation.
Right.
And put on a horror movie. Like a werewolf movie or whatever. That's what he was trying to do.
Untitled Sachin's project or something.
Shit,
yeah, horror movie project.
Stupid, but adorable.
Yeah.
He was cute.
I like that name for some reason.
It is a cute name. Like, I like it.
Sachin is like, I don't know. But you hear, the funny thing is as he's about to go live, one of the bad werewolf boys is like, pulls the plug. And then his voice starts to get deeper, and like he's like, "Hey, Sachin, da 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 da."
I was like, "No."
And then the best friend calls. He's trying to reach Will somehow, and Will happens to be at the security desk where the security guy had been killed, I guess, by the werewolf guys, and they happen to find the one monitor that works and log into his account, and then he gets on live video with him and they can talk to each other. He's like, Will, you just got to get out of there. I'm like, first of all, security guard's not going to have a fucking webcam in the fucking goddamn station. And maybe, I don't know.
He jacks off with it.
Well, he was. Remember? He was watching. The security guard was watching them while they were fucking on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
In the library.
Gross.
He's like, yeah, I'm just watching to make sure everything's... Remember? Before he got killed?
It was kind of funny when he got killed, too, because he, like, lightly pushes him into the computer monitor, and then all of a sudden he's dead.
Right.
And I'm like, okay.
The funny...
What?
Yeah, that was kind of silly. You know what's funny, though? When Sachin reaches Will gets pissed, and then they go straight to the science lab to make blow torches, you know?
Oh, my God, I know. I was like, what? Like... Where the fuck do you get blowtorches and a bottle of alcohol to make a Molotov cocktail? I don't understand what the
science lab,
fuck
man.
is happening
They got
here.
Everything, bro.
Apparently, I couldn't fucking make a blowtorch from my science lab.
To be fair, old 80s movies did this a lot.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, like we got like the Monster Squad and fucking just all these like weird science and shit like that.
Still.
But Eliana and him like comb the halls looking for the werewolves because they're badasses now with blowtorches. And they stumble upon a room full of like dead bodies and chained up people for his mom's army, apparently. And like Eliana falls in a pool of like blood and shit. And then his mom and the bad boy wolves, who are shirtless, by the way.
Yeah, thank you for that.
I thought it was weird.
I approve.
I just didn't understand why. But anyway, I guess because they were going to be transforming a lot. So, but she was like asking, you see his dad chained up, Jack, you thought was dead, and he's chained up, and the mom's telling Will to kill him. And he's like, no, I'd rather die than become one of you. And his mom snaps his neck, like all stupid.
I'm like, really?
She kills her dad, like just like that.
Just like nothing.
I'm like, you couldn't have just like ripped his head off or something?
That's what I'm saying. There was no point in any of that. I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like, the way that they kill him, there's no... Why?
Budget.
Why keep him alive? Yeah, like, fuck, man.
That's what it was.
Stupid.
And then he's like, I'll never kill a human. And mom's like, you already have. Remember the bully boy Roland? He's like, oh shit, I did?
And you get this like fun like recap, like flashback moment where you realize that it was him and you're like, oh, okay. Right.
Well, and then he's always yelling at Eliana, like, leave me alone. You got to go away. I'll fucking kill you somehow. I don't know why.
Yeah. Leave.
And she's like, no, we got to fuck. So they go into the...
Basically, you know, like, that's...
Well, they kind of do, because Eliana runs into the principal's office, and then this is where you finally see a full-on werewolf. And, like, it looks like a horse in some ways with the hair on its wrists and legs.
It's
like,
weird.
It is kind of weird. It's sort of like gray, like an alien, but, like, also kind of like a vampire. Kind of reminds me of the werewolves in the hybrid from the Underworld movie.
Yeah.
Sort of, but like a more beefed up version, like a traditional werewolf would
steroids.
be. But, you know, Will appears behind him as he's about to kill Eliana, and he stabs him with what?
The second place silver trophy.
Yeah! But this is the best
thank you.
part. Yes. Oh my God.
And it's not good. It's so stupid.
It's so stupid.
But it's also really gratifying.
She's like standing there like completely like freaked out because a werewolf just tried to kill her. And like, she's like, I guess it's a good thing you didn't win the gold. Like, okay, look, maybe if the movie's tone would have been a little bit more funnier, that would have landed better.
But I just went, oh, come on.
Like, I could picture that in, like, a comedy, sort of, like, quirky 80s comedy.
Like a horror comedy or whatever.
Right.
Like nowadays, like, that would have worked.
Right.
It would have been funny.
But it was a serious tone film, for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't, like, comical or...
No.
You know what I mean? Like, anyway, Will insists on her to leave, and she says, no, you're not like them! He's like, I can't control it when I'm around you! His voice, like, deepens and shit. And she pulls him into the room, and she's like, so you can do anything you want to me. He's like, anything? And they make out a bunch. And she's like, she's like, if you don't want to be with me, just say it. And he's like, what? Like, no, I'm gonna fucking turn into a werewolf, you dumb bitch. Like, what the? I might fucking kill you. Don't turn this into a fucking breaking up fucking
Get off
segment.
my werewolf dick, motherfucker. Damn, Gina.
He's like, I'm trying to save your life. God damn. But I just thought it was really funny because, love.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, but then she tries to convince him to change her because love, which is silly. So then they start to fuck on the floor or something.
If Mouse is a werewolf, I would make me a werewolf too.
I mean, definitely, but they just they don't even know each other.
Yeah, they're like fucking 16-year-olds. Like, or
that's
they're
a
18,
pretty big commitment, I would say, to make with someone you might not get along with after 2 days.
The first time we had a conversation was 24 hours ago. Turn me into a werewolf.
Yes, I love you. Yeah, because I know what love is because I'm in high school.
Yeah, woo!
But anyway, she keeps on insisting on him making a choice, and then they lay on the ground and like start fucking, and he scratches her by accident on the back, and they make it seem like he didn't, but he did.
I don't understand.
Because they bring it up later.
Yeah.
Like, anyway, but then they hear the mom telling them to come fight them or something like that. He's like, we got to get ready and set up the chapel or something. I don't know what the fuck.
We got to go to the church. And I'm like, what?
But the weird werewolves are like running around the halls, like flipping tables, breaking glass, breaking furniture, and just generally acting like they don't give a fuck. Which is funny because they're like, I guess they're trying to make it seem like they're looking for them, but it really just looks like they're just having a party.
Yeah.
Like going to a werewolf party.
They're teenage werewolves. Like, they're just breaking shit because they can.
Yeah, like calm down, dude. And then you hear the mom speaking over the loudspeaker again, talking about the food chain, and we're going to lead this world into a new era. It's like, shut up. It really was kind of annoying at that point. Like, I guess they were trying to turn it into, we're going to turn the world into fucking werewolves. Well, okay, what happens when you have no one else to eat and no one else to turn? What happens then? Like, you know what I mean? It's like that vampire movie where everybody was vampires and like,
yeah,
humans were like...
I love that fucking movie.
It was actually... I rewatched it recently. That is a great fucking movie. What's it called?
Oh my god. Daybreakers.
Daybreakers, yeah.
Oh, so good.
I didn't like it the first time I saw it, but when I watched it again, I actually really liked it. It was really cool. It was like technology in the future and all this other shit.
It's a super underrated vampire movie, in my
really
opinion.
is.
It's a really good one.
But anyway, back to the story. Will and Eliana prep for a showdown, and Eliana says, I don't want to lose you. And she's like crying, and then she's like, even though I feel like I've been seriously damaged by this relationship.
That was pretty funny, actually.
She giggles a little bit, but it seems very serious, right?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know if it was it was intentional, obviously. And he's like, it's graduation time. Like, fuck. Because they were having a graduation that night in the middle of the rain outside of the fucking chapel.
Yeah, that was weird. It was actually kind of cool, but at the same time, stupid.
I don't really get it. It's just weird. I don't know. He sets up, like, this is where... It's
basically just, like, they had planned this whole thing because there's all this bait that's just sitting there.
Right.
For this army.
Well, and he's like, he thinks he's going to, like, foil his mom's plan because she's trying to take over the world by revealing it to the humans.
Right. And
so... like, he gets on his friend's camera, which was set up previously before he got killed, and he's, like, talking, about telling her that she's going to have to kill him like he did in the very beginning of the movie, which you didn't see her on camera. And, because that'll force him to transform and let everyone know that werewolves actually exist. And she's, like, crying and her lips quiver. She's actually doing a pretty good acting job there, I thought, because love. But she aims the gun at him and about to squeeze and pull the trigger, and the lights go out and you see it cut to his best friend's head, and then the camera pans back a little bit and it's shaking, and you notice it's his decapitated head, and a voice saying, "Sorry, Will, the evolution will not be televised." Like,
I like that scene.
The revolution. Yeah, that was, dude, if you look at the fucking head,
so good.
Legit good special effects there, dude. Like, it looked real.
It did look real.
Like, I was very impressed. Like, and maybe the lighting kind of hid some of it, which is always a technique they do in movies anyway.
Yeah, but it was really good.
Look, his tongue looked real. Like, I thought it was a real tongue.
Yeah.
The line, you know, that when they wrote that, they were like,
that was a mic drop moment.
The revolution will not be televised. Instead of revolution, they said evolution.
Yeah. It was a mic drop moment.
Yeah.
In their minds. So cute.
But then the mom appears rambling on about how people suck and, you know, when werewolves, you know, they should be like whatever. Like, it's annoying after a while. Mm-hmm. But then a werewolf lunges at Eliana and she pops it in the head with a gun that she was going to shoot Will with.
Yeah.
And then another one attacks her and knocks her down and like kills her, I guess. Because Will's in the elevator trying to resurrect her.
Yeah, I thought she was just unconscious.
I know. I'm like,
but
what the fuck?
Apparently she's dead. Yeah. And then he somehow shocks her with something he rips out of the elevator, which doesn't make any fucking sense.
Dude, the wire from the elevator. First of all, guys, when you use paddles, you have to use two because it has to. The current wants to go through the chest.
Yeah.
So they put it on the side and on the top to kind of get the heart going. He just stabs, like, shocks her with a single fucking live wire from the elevator.
In the middle of her chest, too. Like, not even, like, where it needs to go. It's just, like, right here.
Yeah. I mean, granted, you know, like in the Evil Dead remake, the guy stabs her in the chest with the needles, and you know that those would have melted if it was like fucking...
Yeah, but it's Evil Dead.
Yeah, it definitely could get a little bit more pass than this. But I'm just saying, like, you know... Anyway.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell. Like, just let it be.
Then the mom, of course, is like she's like in full werewolf bitch mode, and she's like tearing apart the elevator, yanks her out, and drags her away.
By her head.
Yeah.
That part was kind of cool, actually. She's like, eh. I'm like, what the hell? Because she just woke back up. Like, all of a sudden, she's alive now, and then she's getting pulled out by her head.
I know. I was like,
werewolf.
geez.
I'm like, that's aggressive.
That's when they have the mama-son showdown.
Yeah, when you find out she's the alpha.
Yeah, she's the alpha because he tries to like, it's like, she's like talking about how the world is again. Like, shut the fuck up already. Like, really? Like, I was getting really annoyed with her.
She was irritating.
Like, she's a good actor and I like, you know, I just don't like how she was written.
Yeah.
Anyway, she says, I know it's hard to swallow, you know, like all this stuff I'm telling you basically. And he's like, swallow this. And he shoves down his silver ring down her throat.
That's what he did.
That's when he's like, oh, you're the alpha. She's like, yeah, bitch, I'm the alpha. And then they get into this big fucking showdown. And, you know, she's like slamming him through 4 fucking walls. Like they're like breaking like concrete fucking walls in the school, in the church or whatever. And then she gets like something happens from behind her the mom as she's in her werewolf mode, and he gets turned back into a human because he's like worn out, I guess. And
I think he's like about to die.
Right. And she's about to like go in for the final kill on Will, and somebody grabs her from the back and rips out her heart. Yeah. Well, you don't know that right away.
Oh, I did, but
yeah. Well, you spoiled it for everyone. I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding.
I was like, I knew.
But yeah.
Because I knew he turned her because he scratched her.
Of course. Like, and then it flashes in his mind. You see the scratching part.
Yeah.
That they tried to cover like really quick. But yeah, that was...
I just thought they fucked up with the makeup. That's when I thought they
Which,
did.
on the werewolves? Or
no, when they scratched her and then all of a sudden the next scene it wasn't there. Like, he scratches her and then all of a sudden it's gone.
Right.
You know, and I thought they just fucked up when they filmed it. Like,
no,
I didn't see it. And then I realized that they were probably trying to intentionally hide it.
I thought he was like having some sort of like fever dream in between werewolf and human.
Yeah, something. I don't know what the fuck they were doing.
I didn't even know.
I was like, nah, he scratched her. That's her.
But then
she loves him.
After he finds out it's her, he like, you know, he like tries to get, you know, Eliana to like get out of her wolf state because she might kill him, and it was like this whole thing, and they like, because love brings them back together, and then they cue the Book of Love cheese logs on, which I was not. You said the soundtrack kicked ass.
I said the soundtrack was good.
Okay, well, I thought it was terrible.
I said most of the soundtrack was good.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear that. But yeah, that song really annoyed the fuck out of me.
That was pretty horrible.
Then they burn the entire school, jump out a window in front of the graduating class, by the way.
Yeah.
like to let them know werewolves exist.
The ending is so stupid.
Will is having this narration moment at this point, and he's like talking about, they say that our parents always teach us about the fall of Western civilization, but we can't lose ourselves to fear. We just need to remember to exist because life is worth fighting for. And it's like, shut up.
It's so fucking stupid.
And then it's like, I'm like, really, man? This is where you're going with this? And then he says to the principal, he's like, it's a whole new world, and you people have no fucking idea. And then it's the principal, and he's just like, what? Are you guys like,
all
okay?
Baffled. They're all baffled.
Yeah, and then that's when the credits roll, and that's like the cool like stripper music kicks in. But they have like in he's like, it's like his speech when he was recorded in the library or something with his friend's camera.
Yeah.
And he's like talking about like, he's going to have the world telling them that the monsters exist, and he's going to have her shoot him, and he transforms into a werewolf. And then people on Times Square see this video, and it's like they're showing like the whole world is like now being found out that there's werewolves, and there's sightings of werewolves everywhere, and like werewolves have coming out of the hiding, and they're just like existing now, and then like there's riots in the street and shit, and there's news reports about everything, and then it's like cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. And then the movie's over, but it's like the message that they were trying to have, like, this world is about to change. Like, weren't you just trying to save the world?
Right.
I don't really understand what is going on.
It makes no sense.
Are they forcing cohabitation, or like, I don't really get what the fucking point of this is. I'm not trying to make fun of this movie, but it's just, it is a little silly, like, if you think about it. That's why I give it like a 4, because it's like, and it could be lower with this shit at the end. Especially to me.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have any other additional thoughts to add to it?
No.
Really?
I feel like we've covered this pretty well.
So you would definitely pick this one over that one?
Yes.
All right. So Lau,
handily.
What we're going to do now, guys, we're going to pick our favorite movies in the franchise from best to worst. I guess we'll do it that way. So which ones do you think are the best in the franchise?
Obviously the original.
Right.
So number 1.
Okay.
And then I really liked number 6, The Freaks.
Oh, that one's the second favorite?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
I really liked that one. Like, I'm a sucker for fucking freak shows and carnival anything. So that's probably the 3rd for me, or 2 for me. And then I liked The Howling Reborn, so that's going to be number 3 for me.
So you said 1, 6...
1, 6,
8.
8, and then 2, then probably 3.
Okay.
5, 4, 7.
Yeah.
5, 4, 7.
Okay, so this is my order. Okay, so you got
1, 6, 8, 2, 3. Was it 5, 4, 7?
It's your last one.
Yeah,
the worst one.
I'm trying to count them all.
Right, I know. Like I have to do it with my hands.
I did
too.
it with I had to count it on my hands.
So
yeah.
I would say like 1, 2, 3, 6, 8, then 5, 4. 7. So holy shit. Yeah, that was really brain racking there.
It's hard.
You have to like think of like every single fucking movie like right on the spot right there. I should have written it down, but I just knew that I would know. But yeah, I definitely thought 6 was really good. It wasn't my number 2. I really love part 2. My sister's a werewolf.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious. It's one of the best so bad it's good movies. Like, it is on my list of like Uninvited, the Killer Cat movie, and then Troll 2, and then like Creatures from the Abyss. Like, those are like really good, so bad it's good movies.
Yeah.
Miami Connection's in there, but I wouldn't call that a horror. But yeah, 7 can go fuck itself.
Yeah, basically.
It's at the bottom, and I'm sorry, Clive. I don't think you're a bad guy. I think you're a nice guy.
7 and 4.
What do you guys think your order would be of the very few people that have seen it? I know Sarah Durbin has
seen all of them?
She's seen all of them, and I would love to see her list. So, but yeah, guys, I don't think we're going to be revisiting this one anytime soon. I think we just barely got out of the woods.
I'm so glad it's done.
This is not one of my favorite franchises at all, but this one is probably one of the worst.
This is the worst of a full franchise that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and like Puppet Master has some pretty bad ones in there too. which at some point we'll get to
I'm fine with
that. I would
That's
too.
all right.
We're
I like Puppet Master, so I don't know.
I want to do Critters 1 through 4 soon.
Okay.
Would you be down to do that?
Yeah.
I might get Pat to do that with us.
That's fine.
Because I think he would really be happy about that.
I like him, so.
Do you want to do that next week? Like 1 and 2?
1 and 2? Yeah, that's fine.
And then do
3 and 4.
3 and 4.
That works. Maybe we should finish it and then
do a Grave Plots after. That sounds like a good idea.
I'm fine
yeah.
with that.
Well, guys, thank you so much for sticking around. I know this episode's pretty long. We've been making them about 2 hours lately, but we've been getting a little bit more in depth because we've been getting a lot of feedback from people recently about how they enjoy us breaking down the movies and making fun of them. So, I mean, when we got these bad ones, they're going to be a little extra longer because I got to talk about this funny shit that I think of in my head when I'm watching it and talk about the silly shit we see. So I know it may be a little long. I've been putting the times in the podcast so that you know where each movie is or each segment is. So if you want to skip to that, you can always do that too. But for those of you that listen to the end and listen all the way through, you're my fucking hero. Word.
I got diphtheria. Let's wrap this up.
All right, guys. Well, we will be back next week with Critters 1 and 2. I hope you guys enjoy that. And thank you guys for coming by. And as always,
stay weird, monsters.
Listening to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. Tune in every